Hey, hello, storytellers, and welcome back. We are back yet again. I am not entirely set up. I'm set up enough, let's just say that. I did get, speaking of setup, I did get a new sort of setup going here, in which I have a second monitor, and I would cheer for that, except I don't have my thing plugged in. How's your day going? How's it going? Are you feeling good? Are you getting into this more springy kind of vibe post-Easter? How was your Easter? My Easter was quite eventful. The Easter weekend especially, quite eventful. This was one of the fullest weekends for me in a while. Because I streamed on Saturday, right? And you were hopefully here for that. Epic the Musical, a lot of fun. Did a lot with that, almost finished, and then got, YouTube was like, nope, we're not doing that anymore. But did that, and then directly after that, I grabbed some lunch really quick, and I drove 3.5 hours to Atlanta with whatever camera stuff I had, literally whatever was there. I grabbed and ran with. And then I went to this shoot in Atlanta to shoot a highlight video for this cool award ceremony called the African Awards, which was really cool. I was the only white person in the entire vicinity. That's not an exaggeration. I think there might have been one Hispanic guy who was also there, but the fashion was incredible. It was like I was feeling ashamed of myself because of how non-fashionable I am. Hold on, do we have our success sounds? Let's see. I can't exactly hear. I also just realized that none of this is in my ear. If I seem a little out of sorts, maybe it's because I am. That seems loud to me, but maybe it's just loud in my head. So anyway, yes, went to the shoot in Atlanta. That was really cool. It was just 4 hours. Gave out some awards. They had best, the best in show for medical professional and educator and lawyer and humanitarian, all that kind of stuff. And it was a pretty cool event. The not so cool part was driving back 3.5 hours after the fact. That, on the other hand, was not a banger, as my brother might say, or as the kids might say, the youth. Let me try to. I'm gonna copy paste something and see if it looks better. And I know I'm always trying to change stuff as it comes on stream. I know that's not the most ideal, but if I put that there and I get rid of this, hey, we have a slightly less intrusive chat. I feel like that's nicer. We'll see. What else? So yes, didn't get back until about 3 a.m. probably on that Sunday morning, that Easter morning. Happy belated Easter, everybody. And then I went to church, drove back home with a couple of friends, and we just had a great Easter Sunday all together. It was a lovely time, and it's one of my favorite times is getting to invite the friends to go to Easter. You can hear me, yes? My mic is on, correct? Yes. So that was my weekend. Very full weekend. Playing a little bit of catch up in this week coming here. And it is week 5 of my quarter, which means we're heading into midterm season. So yikes on that. Let me push you back a little bit. Yeah. Yes. Hello, Christopher Cinnamon. I hope that your Easter was also a great time. I hope you got to play some wiffle ball or soccer or whatnot with wonderful people in your area. Yeah, so good weekend, full weekend. Needed to catch up so far this week, but I've got a lot of like editing work on the horizon. And I know I'm writing and whatnot, but I'm also editing on the side, working on like editing wedding stuff and editing the promo shoot, the highlight this past weekend. So, you know, couple editing things. Also, my podcast Christians in Cinema, we posted Passion of the Christ episode this past weekend. And so there's got to be editing for the promo for that. So definitely a lot of editing on the schedule, but you know, writing and editing, that's my life now. I will say I got very much into something I probably shouldn't have, or maybe I should have. Maybe it's good. You know how 2 streams ago we were talking about like inspirations for this pilot coming up here. You know, it's investigative journalism, it's all this kind of stuff. I want to see where it goes. So I started listening to what I was told was the OG true crime podcast. It's called Serial. I wonder if I can pull up an image here. Serial. Oh my gosh. My screen is so bright now that it is so illuminating. No, not that. Serial podcast. Can you hear that siren? Because I sure can. Yes, Serial. If I switch over. So look at this. This is Serial. This is just the logo of it. It's a podcast. I didn't realize this. I didn't realize that Only Murders in the Building was like a direct parody of this podcast. And I haven't done research on this. I could be wrong. But even down to like the theme music of this podcast and the way that the interviewer talks, like she talks and sounds just like Tina Fey playing Cinda Canning in Only Murders in the Building. And the crazy part is that this is like true crime. And so like, I don't know, it's very compelling. And I've been told that like the first season of this was like a groundbreaking thing in just the investigation world of how like, you know, whatever she was investigating got the sentence reversed of someone who was like, I guess, misaccused for murder. I haven't listened all the way through the first season, but that's a lot of what I was listening to on my way to Atlanta. And it's really compelling and really crazy. So that's been part of my research for the pilot. But unfortunately, to actually listen to that show, you do have to have a subscription to the New York Times, and pass the first 2 free episodes. And so, you know, I may have gotten a little subscription to the New York Times, just to listen to that show. Whoops. But that does mean that now we get to play the full crossword on our New York Times games. We probably won't do that immediately. Also, that is much longer and much bigger than the mini crossword, but we'll see how we feel with it. So yeah, I've been listening a bit to that. I also started watching a show called The Newsroom for further inspiration and further research. And that's going really well too. That is written by Aaron Sorkin, who has done a lot of things. He's done The Social Network. He did A Few Good Men, The Trial of the Chicago 7. His writing is very dense and it's very information filled. And so there's like a lot to get from it, but I'm learning. I'm enjoying looking into that. Noah, I'm so glad that I have gotten you into Epic the Musical. That is an absolute success. That if I got anyone more interested in that musical, like that's a win there. Also, this lighting is all on. Hey, guys, something felt wrong, right? This is a little more cozy. Okay, enough dilly-dallying. Let's actually get into the Wordle today. Let me know if the music is a good level, too loud. I think I hit a sweeter spot slightly for the last couple. Whoa! And all of a sudden, we've got some letters. Crast. Crast. Nope. Rast. Brats. Oh wait, the A can't go there. Duh. Arson. Arsit. Arsht. I fell on my arsht. Arthur. Sardi. Oh wait, the S can't go there either. What is wrong with me? Thram. No. Let's try real words, please. Noah, what's your favorite part of Epic, the musical, so far? Or you've been binging it, what do you keep coming back to? Arrost. Arose. I don't know, man. Like, Taurus. Orst. Oust. Like, Frost would be great if I didn't need an A in there, you know? Crast. Posture. No. I'm so committed to getting this in like 2 or 3 that I will refuse to get a word that like I don't think could work. I'm also realizing that like the way I have this, like I'm literally going to be looking up at this monitor. This monitor is ginormous compared to my little laptop camera here, so that'll be the next evolution. Next evolution is webcam, but you know, it's like we're playing streamer simulator here, and we gotta like we gotta work our way up. Rats. Barst. Barsht. Karst. What are you? And I'm so sorry, Garst. I'm a Garst. Trias. Tros. Atari. I swear I do these games better without the pressure of being on camera. I just want to put that out there. This is your fault, okay? This is on you. Athol. Bro, what am I doing? Astro. What? What? I'm sorry, is Astro not a word? Astro definition. Look, I mean, it's got a hyphen. Does that count? Dang it. I thought I had it, but also the R is in the wrong. Gosh darn it. Rasty. Nasty. Narsty. This is ridiculous. Arist. Arise. No, that's not gonna work, guys. Ratsy. I keep bringing them words and they keep saying no. Ratsy. Rasputissy. Rasputin. Rasputin. No. I'm a little lost on this one, guys. Maybe we need some awkward music here. This is how I feel right now. Arist. I need to guess something. Thraz. Ostar. O-star. I star, A star, me star, you star, we star. Am I losing my mind? Yes, well, don't answer that. Okay. Rast. Okay, I did not know that was a word, and technically the A couldn't have been there, but I want to look up rast. Definition. Please. Twisted or wrinkled. Rast. I'm gonna hold on to that one. Okay, well, we have more information here. Artsy. I should have gotten there. Artsy. I go to a dang art school and I couldn't find artsy. Boy, oh boy. Whew, that was rough. If that's how the Wordle went, I don't want to know how the mini, let alone the full crossword's gonna go. Jeez, can I turn down the brightness of this thing? Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. No, go back. Can I turn down the brightness? That is my question. It just seems like, hello. You guys can't see this, but it's just too much. Oh wait, that is the brightness. Can I turn it down? That's a little nicer. That way we're not blinded every time. Let me adjust you. Hello, Super Gaming Texan. Yes, my mind is firing on all cylinders, every single last one of them. Okay, there's no doubt about that in my brain hole. All right, so no need to worry about that. All right, mini crossword. Let's get it. I can't. I'm a little surprised that I can get artsy, but it's fine. Everything's fine. All right, work like a. Sorry, wrong thing. Work like a dog. Work like a horse. No. Voice that falls between soprano and alto. Mezzo. Is that it? Baritone, mezzo. Tenor. Ooh, it could be tenor. Yep, all two brain cells. Yep, they're working up there. Black and white snacks. Zebra cakes. Black and white snacks. Oreos. Boom. Move one's head in agreement is to nod. Totally out of it is okay, I think it is mezzo because this is dazed. Mezzo. Race-shaped pasta is orzo. Engineered crops are GMOs. You can't be serious is come on. And villain's counterpart is the hero. Boom, 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 boom. Nice and easy. Work like a charm. Ooh, good one. Cool. Knock that out. Go ahead, add to your one-day streak. Yeah, it's gonna say that now that I have an actual New York Times subscription because I don't know how to enjoy things that are free. Okay, let's see. We got ice, wheel, grease, lightning. Grease, lightning, fire, eel, axe, sun, clay, scrap, volcano, glaze, drop, banana peel, kiln, and cut. Okay, what do we see immediately? I see a lot of words. That's my first observation, but next I'm gonna try a helpful observation. Also, my camera's moving everywhere. It's awkward because now I gotta look like I'm gonna not worry about it. I'm not worrying about it. This is me not worrying about it. Maybe I can move it over here a bit and then it'll be more normal. Axe, sun, glaze, yeah, I think I know what that means. Okay. I think I know exactly what we need. Chat, what do we need? Okay. I see fire and ice, volcano, sun, volcano, and kiln, and fire are all things like that. What am I trying to say? Hot things. Super hot. So let's shuffle them in an arrangement that we can remember. I'm also looking around. Okay. We also have glaze. Don't panic. Yeah, no one needs to panic here. All right. Panicking is against the rules. Ooh, okay. Banana peel and lightning. Those are both things that can hit you in Mario Kart. Right? Are there axes in the game? We were just talking about Mario Kart the other day. I guess you could get hit by ice, but you could also get hit by fire. So that might not be it. You can cut. There's eel, electric eel. Wait, what? No, what am I? Cut, axe. That's what I was trying to get at. Scrap, maybe. Oh wait, but yeah. Grease is slippery, banana peel is slippery, glaze is slippery, and ice is slippery. That might be it. So we've got this, and we've got our hot items, which leaves us with eel, lightning, cut, scrap, axe, clay, wheel, and drop. I think that's right. Let's see. Wheels are round, much like eels. When you take them to the pound, it rhymes, which means it's true. We didn't get lightning yet, did we? I mean, lightning's electric, eels are electric, clays stop electricity. Lightning bolt, eel bolt, wheel bolt, scrap bolt, axe bolt. Eel, wheel, scrap cut. No, wait. Yes, scrap cut. Lightning, axe, clay, drop, wheel. I feel like there might be some like rhyming thing going on here. I don't know. They like to do weird rhyming stuff, or like drop a letter and then it's something that you didn't think it was. Let's see here. Drop and scrap and cut are all can all be like verbs, and so can axe. You can axe something. You can't really wheel, lightning, eel, or clay something as well. So maybe we submit that and see if that's like a close answer. I'm sorry. I can't hardly see the submit button. Yes? Oh, but that's the yellow. It's always the yellow. Oh, frick, man. Dang it. It's fine. We got one. To axe something, to cut, drop, or scrap it, I guess you could cancel as a project that. So I'm gonna guess that. What is eel, clay, wheel, and lightning? What is that? Excuse me while I peer over you. No? Huh? Uh-oh. We might be in trouble. I guess eels can be slippery, right? So maybe it's switch out eel for glaze. Maybe? No? Oh, frick. We're in trouble now. So what if I do this one that we think we know? Oh no. This is bad. But it's one away. My window's so big I couldn't see. I was saying one away. Shoot. This is not good. I'm gonna go lightning and take away the kiln, because these are like very natural disasters. Can I find the submit button? Yes? Okay, natural producers of heat. That's good. Grease, ice, glaze, no, eel, banana peel. Yeah? Yeah? Maybe? Okay, things that are slippery. Slippery eel and slippery, all of that. And then the last one. I can't see. You're in the way, chat, okay? I can't see. Seen in a pottery studio. You can see clay, glaze, kiln, and a wheel. I guess that makes sense. Cool. Let's switch this music and move on from that. I was feeling really confident, and then I was not feeling confident at all. And that's usually how these games go, is that they really make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. And then the strands. Super Gaming Texan says, by the way, I have started watching your live stream where you watch Epic about an hour and a half in. I am so excited for you. Also, if there are any Epic fans here, thank you so much for all the support on the last stream. I really appreciate it. And I didn't quite get through all of the sagas in the last stream. I had to cut it short, but we are going to be finishing up the last couple sagas here soon, and then that's going to be fun. But yeah, the Epic community is so awesome, and they're the type of people that you want like in your storytelling community, you know. So I really appreciate that, and I'm excited to finish breaking that down, going through that. Counter offers. Can I make that bigger? Maybe. Hello. Counter offers. Okay. I can see all the letters. That's a good thing. What is a counter offer? A proposal of justice. I see like letters for justice around here. Justice Strauss. Canada. Yes, we Canada. Oh wait, can I actually do Canada? No. It's close though. Chase? Dane. Nade. What's the category? Counter offers. Proposal. You know what? I just thought of something. What if I put the OBS thing up here? Holy crap. And I put this down here. And then it was way too big. But what if I did that where the camera is, and then it would be right? You see what I'm saying here? That's really big. But just stay with me now. If we make it small. And then when I'm changing stuff, I look up here like I'm looking up at my dashboard to fix everything. And then that way it's a little more normal that I'm looking at least closer to the camera and not just like this the whole time. You know what I'm saying? One thing you got to know about me, which I hope you would know if you've been watching the stream so far, is my thought process is very vocal, and I just kind of speak out what needs to happen, and if it's not happening, then I will speak it out more. You know, I'm not afraid to look like a fool, but I am afraid of looking like an idiot. Sarah Cinnamon says amend. Oh, good try. Okay, I think this works better. I think, maybe, perhaps. Anywho, strip. I'm not looking at the category at all. I need to lock in a little bit here. Counter offers I keep thinking proposal, but I'm not seeing a lot of the letters I need. You're driving, you can't see all the letters. That's okay. Hey, amend was up there. It just wasn't correct. Chand. There's a W up here. That's something. You know, that is something. Pastries are like making amends. Like if you make someone some pastries, that's like, you know, bro, we're cool, right? I'm not crazy for that. Oh, I was kind of joking. But that looks like, okay, so maybe it's peace offerings is like the, it looks like I have a Chrome update. I have a Chrome update? Oh, new Chrome available. Well, I don't trust in the system. I like it the way it is. And I'm frightened that it will all shut down if I try to fix it. Skies. Okay, pastries was one. What does that tell us about counter offers? Parting gifts. Donuts. No, donuts are pastries. I think I'm just into the pastry world now. Cafe. Something. Sheed. Yeah, I'll do it after stream. I appreciate it though. Chen. You're looking out for me. Deli counter. Do you see deli? Deli. Oh wait, no, I see what you're saying. Like, counter offers are things you could get like over the counter at like a deli or something. Dude, they're always pulling stupid stuff like that. It's fine. Powder puffs. No, that's not what you're saying. Well, I read into your comment. Like Jaws. Chandelier. Puff. Menu. Oh, there is a menu here. Maybe it's cafe menu. There's the spanogram. There is the spanogram. Okay, so we're looking for things on a cafe menu. Gotcha. Because these are counter offers. Yes, celebration. Juices? Yes. Okay, I see you. Mom. I literally debated in my head for a second. I was like, I'm on stream. Should I say mom or should I say Sarah? And I'm sorry, that genuinely came into my head for a second. But my mom is very smart. I mean, hey, I would hope so. You know, like that's the bar that I gotta reach. You know. Press. Esto? No. Mom always. Yes, I know. That's I didn't say. Can you imagine if I was just like, thank you Sarah Cinnamon for the 20 bits. I really quick shout out to Sarah Cinnamon, been a long time supporter of the channel. Sandwich is definitely up here. I'm dragging my feet, but I see it. I can see it with my eyes. Sandwiches. Which means chai is up here, like chai tea. Queso? No, there's no Q. Supper? There's a lot of S's up here. It's a little concerning. I wish I was as smart as my mom. Yeah, me too. I don't know if that ever happens. I just think there starts being like new topics. Oh, espresso. Got it. I think there just becomes like new topics that you understand that like your parents like have no need to understand. And so it's not like you get like, yeah, the soup, I got it. Celebration. It's not necessarily that you get smarter than your parents. It's just like you start learning things that are like different than your parents, so your like knowledge base is different, you know. Does that make any sense? Let's just take a look at the crossword, because I am now paying for a subscription to look at it. I don't know if we're going to do the whole thing, because that's, oh my gosh, that's a lot, but we can go through and see how many we get really quick just on a first glance. We can speed run this a little bit. Hold on. Not that one. Hold. Yeah, let's just see. Let's just see what we can do in this time frame. Island north of Jamaica. Is that Cuba? Is Cuba north of Jamaica? Give off as rays, like sunlight. Cold treat that might be topped with sprinkles and crushed Oreos, like a shake. Milkshake, flurry. No, I can't spell that. Greeting at sea. Horn. Oscar-winning Sorvino. Wish I knew. Romantic sort. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Don't know. Hold close to the heart. Difficult burden. I'm not answering any of these. Assert. Person chosen by ballot nominee. Old hand. As a matter of fact. As a matter of fact. Green Day. Oh no, they're doing band stuff. Part of not applicable. German exclamation. Ice. Swab and toiletry kit. Q-tip. The Thinker Sculptor. Was that Da Vinci? No. That's not good. Interjection that's composed of only the consonants in takes to task. Tisk. Appropriately. Right? Tisk? In the consonants? Yeah. Imperatives. Analogous. Kit Kat bar. Something tome. Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's another band. I don't know what they're trying to get at here. Bud holder. Cozy. Cooler. Pen fillers. Ink. Takes as credit card. Swipes. Nope. The E of EGOT is Emmy. Dude. Bro. Bruh. Could be bruh. Could be something else. The Texans on scoreboards. Texan. Thinkers Rodin. Thank you for that. They might be giants. Don't know what they're getting at. Menzel of Frozen. Adina. Red carpet affair. Event. Something major. Film major. No, I think it's Ursa major. Fill at a station. The tank. Gas. One of the A's in AAA abbreviation. I don't know, man. Grunt. Grr. What to try clearing if a web page isn't loading your cache. Now I'm thinking that horn is wrong because that doesn't seem right. Or maybe Cuba's wrong. Jorge Luis. Edibri Io. Okay, well, that's right. Oh, ahoy. That's the greeting at sea. Okay. I promise I'm not gonna try to do this whole thing. I just want to see each of the things. Stately French dance or its accompanying music. Don't know. Nest egg options for short. Like homes. Blacktop material. Cement pavement. Okay. You know what? I have decided and realized that I am not smart enough for a New York Times subscription. And so that's just going to have to be something that I deal with and live with. Yeah, that's just how it is. It's okay. Hey, we don't all have to be amazing at everything. All right. Mom, you said it's not so much smarter as it is getting more confident. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I can be good at things my mom learned, but I don't get smarter. I simply get good at different things. Yeah, wrote on. It's times like this that makes me realize I'm not going to be good at crosswords. It combines two difficult things for me, spelling and knowing things about stuff. I'm with you there, brother. Same here. You know what? We gave it a good try, though. We gave it the old college try, and that's That's a win in my book. Okay. I did mess with it like yesterday, and I was able to get yesterday's because I spent the time on it and was procrastinating, and so I was willing to do the whole thing. But that is neither here nor there, as they say. So now, what I want to do, first of all, how's everyone doing? How are we feeling? Once again, I'm glad that so many more people are getting into Epic. I think that is a beautiful thing that we should celebrate always. I also think that we should watch a trailer, maybe watch a couple trailers to what is in theaters right now. Yes, the good old show. Crossword puzzles are stupid. They can be, especially like the New York Times. They really like to make you feel like terrible. Good. It's a Tuesday. It is a Tuesday. And if I were to fix this screen as I look up to the heavens, and see, that's gonna get copyright claimed. Can I put this in like theater mode? Oh gosh, that's wrong. Sorry, I know you guys just kind of have to wait for me to figure my crap out, and you're just like, you're trusting that I have something going on here. But trailer reactions. Yes, baby. We're doing it. We're actually doing it. Have you guys heard of a movie called Sinners? Anybody? Directed by Ryan Coogler, who did the Black Panther movies. Have you heard of this? This is the movie in theaters right now. It's the biggest movie in theaters right now, I should say. And I don't really know much about it, but I figure we watch the trailer, give our thoughts, because this is the first weekend where Minecraft is not number one, and so I think we should take a look. And I also like Ryan Coogler's stuff that I've seen. So let's take a little gander here. Let me boost up the volume, and then let's take a little look. See. Michael B. Jordan. Okay, Warner Brothers, relax.
I've been all over this world. I seen men die in ways I ain't even know was possible. Love you, brother. Be careful. I will.
I will. Brother, be careful.
With all the things that I've seen.
Oh, dude, and he did Creed. I haven't seen Creed. Also, what is it with this guy and having trailers that have just the coolest, like, music or just movies in general? Like, Ryan Coogler has that, like, I don't know, there's just some like, element about his music or the music that he sources that is, like, you know, some...
I ain't ever seen no demons. No ghosts.
Hey, Seinfeld.
No magic.
Ooh.
Till now. Hey, get back inside.
It's scary. Ooh, it's creepy.
Let me in, man. Some weird shit going on out here.
You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home.
Dang. Okay. Oh boy. March 7th. Well, that date is wrong. because I guess they moved it back. That looked scary. That looked different than Black Panther. That's not the Black Panther I remember. Clearly, he loves working with Michael B. Jordan. I'll tell you that much. Which, why wouldn't you? He's great. Does look like a horror movie. I'm not sure based off of the... Oh, gosh. Everything went away. I'm not sure what the subject matter is based off that. I mean, it looks like might have to do with something... some religious aspect, I mean, it's called Sinners, so I think that would make sense. I don't know. There's like something there. Also, I'm getting distracted because my roommate is watching Severance outside there for I believe the first time. And I'm just hearing the theme music. You're going to stick with Minecraft? You know what? That all I have to say to that. Chicken jockey. There is one more movie that I wanted to watch a trailer for because it's also been in theaters for a few weeks now. And this is one I really want to see. And it's called King of Kings. You've probably heard of it, but it's actually on track right now. I think maybe other than Passion of the Christ, but it's on track to have like the biggest opening of like a Christ-based movie or something. I think that's right. I'll have to look that up, but...
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me for just a moment.
King Arthur!
Get down from there!
1, 2, 3!
Very different vibe than the last one.
You are not King Arthur!
Oh boy.
Charles, you're going to tell him a great story about forgiveness.
Can we do this without the cat?
Stop right there.
Angel
Our
Studios.
story begins 2,000 years ago when baby Jesus came into the world.
Wait, stop.
The biblically... Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm already dogging on this. The biblically, classic but inaccurate wise men at the Jesus birth. It's fine. We don't care. It's just they're telling a story. Okay.
If it's not about a king, then I'm not interested.
This story is about the King of Kings.
If you're with me, then I
Oh, that was cool.
I will fly.
It has angels and wicked kings and miracles.
Look at all of this!
Oh, so you want to hear the story now? Why don't we help Jesus along the way?
There's not nearly enough food here to feed all of these people.
I hope this helps.
Look! There's something out there!
Don't be afraid.
This was a miracle
That's Oscar Isaac, by the way. Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Verse. That's him.
to some, but a threat to others.
Why don't we just turn the people against him?
Open up my eyes and see. And I'm not only wishing, dreaming.
Thank you.
Can't we help it?
Yes, but not the way you think.
Whoa.
It's time. This is what my father wants. I'll accept it, and so should you.
You see, a true king serves his subjects.
Dude, Mark Hamill, Forrest Whitaker, Ben
Have
Kingsley.
faith, you'll become stronger than before.
It is a great story.
Story told by Charles Dickens. Interesting. Very cool. Yeah, it looks like they're exploring a lot of Jesus' life. Which is cool to do it in like the like parent telling a story type thing. Yeah, it seems like a great voice cast. I think I also saw that Jim Cummings, the voice of 1,000 Things, Winnie the Pooh, whatnot, is also in it. Like, it's got a great voice talent. Yeah, that's definitely one I want to see. Also, I love this comment, Mom, that this one is a result of the last one. Yes, we need King of Kings in order because we are sinners. That is quite funny and definitely planned. I definitely planned that. Yeah, that one looks really sweet. I've only heard good things about it, which is surprising, I guess, especially in the world of like animation, Christian animation. It's usually like you can get away with some things in like Christian live action, because you can do a lot with a camera with a little money. Animation just takes so much time and so much money that often it just falls to the floor when it's trying to be like it's like a more independent project, which like Christian studios usually are. But this one seems like it's had a lot of love poured into it and a lot of support after the fact. So definitely interested in that one, and seeing where that goes. I got my I'm looking up here because my camera's up here, even though you're right here. So I'm like, look, guys. I got back my my script from the other day that we wrote, the Magic City script. This was before we came back and revised it with the better punchline and the better lead up. Got it here. Only had a few notes. Got a 94 on it, which, you know, we're not gonna complain about that. The only note that was in here was that it's missing a bigger punchline, which I think we remedied. I think we fixed that. Also, the first one that I did, creation, I somehow did it in dark mode and somehow printed it in dark mode, and so the amount of ink that we used for this one might be now it's only these 3 pages, but I was like very shocked, and it's just got that inky feel where it's like, oh my gosh, I wasted so much I wasted so much ink. Now, to be fair, I used a school printer, so it's like, you know, I'm gonna get my money's worth in my ink, but whoops. And with that, I do want to show you guys what I did. I wrote another short film literally just yesterday. Now, was I procrastinating on this and left it till the last day? Maybe. Perhaps, definitely. But this is the portrait short, which I showed. I showed like one example of what a portrait short is. I showed the Thunder Road, where the guy was mourning the loss of his mother and just kind of having a breakdown in front of everyone, and it was really sweet and sad and funny. Portrait shorts are interesting because it's like the whole idea of it is like not a lot is supposed to happen. It's supposed to be this like just like day in the life kind of thing, you know, following one character. It's really like a character study sort of deal, which is fine, but it makes it hard to make like an interesting sort of story out of it, because, you know, it's not supposed to be too much of a story. It's just supposed to be the literal day in the life of someone. But I did write something. I wrote this, you know, quickly, to try to get it done. Here it is. This is my script. It is called, hold on, can I pull up the title page? Oh, you can't see the title page. Can you see it if I... Nope. Can't see the title page. This is called Good Old Horace, and I spelled it. Maybe you can see it if I show you up here. Good old Horace. See that up there? Boom. Good old Horace. This is Good Old Horace. And it is my attempt at a portrait short. My attempt at a not boring, but a day in the life, like a character study, I should say. That's more so what it is. It's a character study, and it's really just exploring a character with something. So we're gonna read through it. Let's take a look. I haven't read this since yesterday, and so let's feel it out, see what we think, and then see if there's a way we can like fix it, you know? Because you're gonna want to fix it eventually. I'm sorry, that's really loud. That's so loud. That's better. Okay, let's read. Good old Horace. Interior antique shop day. Vintage music plays as an old shopkeeper dusts his store. It's cluttered with faded trinkets and categorized by different decades. The aisles are crammed but cozy. The shopkeeper dusts an old record player. A woman walks up to him and whispers in his ear. A voice from the left calls out, "Psst! Hey! Hey you!" The camera looks around for the voice. "Look over here!" Horace sits in a glass display case. His brown leather is worn thin, his minute hand is slightly bent, and his glass is scratched. "Now what might a fine person like you be doing in a musty place like this? Shouldn't you be outside on this lovely afternoon?" He waits for an answer. The shopkeeper dusts in the background. "Not much of a talker, huh? Then we'll get along just fine. I like a good listener. I can trust someone who knows how to keep their mouth shut. Unlike my friend over there. The man's always talking customers' ears off. No wonder nobody buys nothing." The camera turns away from Horace towards another shelf. "Whoa, now wait a minute. I was just warming up to you. What, you don't got the time for an old geezer like me?" Horace gives a wheezy laugh. His hands shake and small metallic gears clink inside him. "Ooh, ow, ow. Gee whiz, you got me all worked up, and for what? You weren't gonna buy nothing anyhow. Go on, get." Horace waits for a response. Nothing happens. "Well, either you're stubborn as heckfire or you got nothing better to do. The name's Horace. What's your name?" "Excuse me, can I help you with anything?" The camera looks up at the man. He towers high above and wears thin glasses. "I was just talking to your ma and..." A landline rings across the room. "Sorry, give me a minute." He walks over and picks up the phone. "Herschel's Antique Shop, what do you want?" "Gee whiz, kid, that cat's really got your tongue good, huh? Look, I get it. He looks pretty scary from down here, but he actually takes good care of us. Sure, maybe he forgets to dust me every so often, finds his way into that bottle over there, but you can't hardly blame him, can you? He spends his whole day with junk, and you best believe that's including myself." Crash! Glass shatters in the back of the store. The shopkeeper looks around the corner. "Herschel, I think something broke." He mutters something under his breath. "I'll have to call you back." He hangs up the phone and walks to the back of the store. "What'd you break this time?" "Gee whiz, just awful what happens around here. I tell you what, kid, this is truly where treasures come to die. It's cruel, really. Give us some sliver of hope that we'll be picked back up, get some purpose, and then what? We sit on our butts, and we rust. You're lucky. There's not a lick of rust on you yet." Horace coughs and wheezes more. His hands spin around. "No, ma'am, if I was your age and knew what I know now, I'd be on the wrist of the King of England. I'd see the world. I'd see the stars. That's right. I'd find Buzz Armstrong or whatchamacallit, and I'd tell the time in outer space. We'd explore galaxies, discover planets. I'd be in the Watch Hall of Fame, first watch on the moon." The shopkeeper and woman walk back into the room. He holds a broom and empties a pan of broken glass into a trash can. "I'm sorry, Herschel. What do I owe you?" "Sharon, you don't owe me a dime." "No, come on. I insist, for old time's sake." The woman begins to protest but gets a call on her cell phone. She holds up her finger and walks back around the corner. The shopkeeper waits until she's out of sight and then looks in the trash can. He pulls out a ripped photograph that was with the glass and brushes it off. "You know, I never forget a face. That girl over there used to come round our store a lot when she was younger. Wasn't much older than you, I'd reckon. She had your same blue eyes. It's pretty remarkable how similar you are. Not mass-produced or perfect, no, but a little more handmade. I can relate to that." The shopkeeper folds up the photograph and puts it in his shirt pocket. "Nah, I can't be ungrateful. He may be sentimental, but without good old Herschel, I'd just be some old leather and a bit of tin. He and I never went to space, but boy did we live. I miss seeing him feel alive. Between you and me, you can keep a secret, right? Sure you can. Anywho, I think he's dying. Not of any disease or nothing. He eats healthy enough. Just every day, I think he's living less and less. I think I am too." He gives a wheezy cough again. "You know, Watch is a good name for my kind. I don't really keep the time or have any control of it or nothing. I just sort of watch as it passes. A much better title than human, though, if you ask me, which you didn't, of course. The woman walks back into the room. Sorry about that. I'm a little out of sorts today. Oh, that's all fine, all fine. Find anything you wanted to buy or just the breakable stuff? They both laugh. It's been so long. I don't know. What do you think, April? They both look into the camera. They wait for a response. Psst. Hey. The camera turns towards Horace again. Thanks for listening. I haven't had a good talk like that in a long while. You run along now and have a good afternoon together. Boy, she sure has been looking at that watch for a while, hasn't she? Oh, has she? I thought she'd want to play with the toys. Here, I'll tell you what. He walks over and lifts the top off of the glass case. He gently lifts the watch off the stand and brings it to his desk. He takes a small rag out of his pocket and wipes all the dust away. I haven't sold this watch in 20 years. I think it's time he found a new home. What do you say? Oh, that's sweet, but I don't think we could take it from you. He brings it over and holds it in front of the woman. I'd feel better knowing that it was with you two. Well, I just don't know. What do you think, April? Do you want it? Aw, just look at her. Of course she wants it. Here you go, Missy. He grabs her arm and delicately fastens Horace onto it. Now, if you want, you can come back anytime, and I'll show you how to fix him up when he stops ticking. Of course, that's if Ma here is okay with it. Oh, well, yes, I think we could arrange that. How much do I owe you? Like I said, he's unsellable. Besides, seeing an old friend stop by is payment enough. You two run along now and enjoy your afternoon together. He holds out his hand to shake. The woman looks at it and hugs him around the neck. He hugs her back. Thank you, Herschel. It's okay. Go ahead now. They break the embrace. Now, little girl, you take good care of him. He's seen a lot, but I bet he's got some more adventures left in him. I know you'll help him with that. The woman waves and grabs April's hand. The shopkeeper smiles and walks back behind his counter. Horace ticks away. Well, gee whiz, guess we're heading to the moon after all. The end. Aw, everybody say, aw, ain't that sweet? I think that's a sweetie. That's a sweet one. Yeah, my idea going into the project was I just want to do some sort of inanimate object. It's kind of that Pixar vibe, you know, getting inanimate objects, feelings and whatnot. Ain't that just cute? Yeah, giving inanimate objects feelings and a story. I like the idea that, like, you know, the objects in your life have a story. And then from there it was like, well, where's the most story going to come from? Objects. And the antique shop made the most sense. But the whole like background story of like the shopkeeper and the woman, and their like connection, like, you know, clearly something's going on where she left for a long time. Like that just kind of started forming in the background. And it was a lot based on just this character of the watch and his sort of journey. Yeah, I was trying to do an interesting thing with like the perspective, and this is more like the director and cinematographer would get to choose this. And I'm wondering when I get to read this in class with people, what my professor's going to say. Because technically you're not supposed to put in lines like the camera turns away. Yeah, so the idea is that you are April, and so like you're looking around as April, and the reason she doesn't talk is because it's like the camera and it's talking to you. So Horace here is like breaking the fourth wall and just talking directly to you, was the idea. So I'm curious what my professor will say with like the lines like this, trying to get across like, okay, there's a girl there, but you're not gonna like see her. You might see her like her arm at the end, like putting on the thing. Should have capitalized her name. That was a mistake. I'm probably gonna get at least a few points off for that. But that was what I was trying to figure out. Was like, how do I include her if the idea is that you are her and you are the camera? So I don't know. I think it's got some cute heart to it. It's like, your watch is traveling along with you, all these adventures. And yeah, I mean, the critique I get most in my screenplays is that I get too poetic. Like, screenwriting is very to the point when it comes to especially like action, like the non-dialogue. But even in my dialogue, I tend to get very poetic. And I'm trying to get better at doing that in a way that is like not all in your face at once, but it's like earned. Like, you really got to earn it. But this was the part where I was really leaning into that, with him talking about his owner, Herschel, being like, I think he's dying. He's not like dying of anything. He's just kind of slowly but surely living less and less. And then the watch idea. I hope this is earned, because this feels like the place where it could be like, okay, that's a little, whatever. I mean, hey, it's creativity. It's subjective. Some people might be like, that's too much. Some people might love it. That's my voice. Like, if I had to pick a section from here where it's like, this is Isaac's voice, like this section, oh gosh, this section here is mostly like where my voice, I feel like, comes in. But anyways, that's that. I will update you on how that one's received, and maybe we'll come back and make a few adjustments here and there. But yeah, good old Horace. Dang it. That whole time I still had trailer reactions as the text. Dang it. You like the poetic part? Good. Good, because sometimes I just have to get that out of my system. Like, I will journal, or I'll write like feelings and poetic stuff and this, like, more conceptual stuff, so that I can, because not every character is going to talk like that. Like, even if I talk like that and enjoy stuff like that, like, not every character should talk like that, because then they're all going to sound the same. It's got to be earned. Let's take a look real quick. Let's see if there's any movie news. Let's see if there's any movie news. Can I see that? I'm gonna try to actually change the title of it, because we're not reacting to trailers anymore, if you couldn't tell. Movie news. It's okay, everybody. Deep breaths. Talk in a southern accent if you want to. A charming southern accent always makes life feel just a little bit nicer. You know what I'm saying? Can you come over here? Get over here. Yeah? No? Yes? Maybe? So? Okay. Let's take a look at some movie news, ladies and gents. What's going on here in the movie world? Or TV world? Oh, speaking of sinners, this is exactly what we're talking about. Let's see. Sinners, Kugler, and questions of ownership. There was a time when black creatives could simply be grateful for the opportunity to make something, but that wasn't true freedom. True freedom is to make it, own it, and build a legacy from it, writes The Hollywood Reporter contributor Richard Newby. Nice. The story contains... Oh, dang it. I don't want to read it then. But I do want to read that article later after I've seen it. Justin Bieber's crisis of faith. What? Tina Fey has a new Netflix series. What's the new series called? Do we know? Is it called The Four Seasons? What? New Tina Fey Netflix series. It is called The Four Seasons. Tina Fey. We love Tina Fey. I thought there was like some TV stuff happening. Max follows Netflix with extra member option. Oh boy. This we gotta see. HBO Max, aka Max. Max rolled out an extra member add-on feature for US subscribers on Tuesday at $7.99 a month, regardless of your tier. It costs $1 more than the entry-level price to Netflix's own precedent-setting program and $1 less than its ad-free version. The new Max feature will also include the ability to transfer an existing adult profile to the extra member account, so the added-on user does not lose their place in binges. So what does that mean? Extra member add-on. This is like a new... Extra member add-on are 2 key Max advancements. So you can like transfer profiles to other subscriptions. But then is it related to the password sharing thing? If you don't know, Netflix has tried to implement this thing where, you know, if you are like away, they're trying to stop account sharing, and so like they try to lock your subscription to like one address. It kind of works sometimes, it kind of doesn't, but it just looks like Max is finding another way to just make more money off of people. The new Star Wars show came out, or the new season of Andor. I haven't seen the first season of Andor, so I can't speak too much to it, but I know that's going on right now. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's too much going on right now. Oh wait, 42 minutes ago. Andrew Garfield would love to play Spider-Man again, but it would have to be, quote, very weird and, quote, strange. Andrew Garfield isn't shy about how he wants to put on the Spider-Man suit again. During a recent stop at Middle East Film and Comic Con in Abu Dhabi, Garfield spoke about the Marvel character and how he, quote, loved playing Spider-Man. Quote, I would love to play the character again in some capacity. Sorry. I would love to play the character again in some capacity, but I think it would have to be very weird. I wouldn't want to do something very strange. I would want to do something very unique and offbeat and surprising, the actor said in an Instagram video. Kind of like the creative freedom they have with the animated Spider-Verse movies. The We Live in Time star, nice dig, added that those films show that you can honor the character in so many different ways through the multiverse. I know you guys love any moment that I can bring out my great British accent. Garfield previously played Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Mans. Yes, he didn't complete his trilogy as Sony shelved the 3rd film. Yeah, because they destroyed his character and his story with the 2nd film. I like how they're like, this is Sony's fault, which in a sense is true, but it's because that 2nd film. Yeah, and then Tom Holland took over. I like how they throw in, like, the We Live in Time star, the Social Network actor, like, so they can avoid just saying Andrew Garfield again. The Social Network actor, however, did reprise his role as Spider-Man with Spider-Man No Way Home. The experience was healing for him. When he asked if he would come back, he responded, oh, for sure. For sure. I would 100% come back if it was the right thing, if it's additive to the culture, if there's a great concept or something that hasn't been done before that's unique and odd and exciting and that you can sink your teeth into. I like The Amazing Spider-Mans. I think people had gripes with him because they were like, his Peter Parker is too cool. We don't want cool Peter Parker. We want boring, nerdy Peter Parker. I never had a problem with that. I like Andrew Garfield, okay? He's probably my favorite actor. One of my favorite actors. It did get announced that they did some Star Wars announcements, and it was announced that Sean Levy, the guy who directed the last Deadpool movie, the guy who directed Free Guy, and has done stuff for Stranger Things, he is directing a Star Wars movie with Ryan Gosling in it. And I'm predicting it now. I'm placing my predictions, and you can quote me on this. I think that is gonna be well, I don't know if it's going to be the next Minecraft movie. There might be something in between, but I think that is going to be at the level of the Minecraft movie. They're going to do some silly thing, or like the Minions movie when people were going in wearing like suits. I think there's going to be like something with Ryan Gosling in a Star Wars movie. Are you kidding me? Like all of the young boys in America and old boys in America are going to do something based on that. I'm calling it now. People love Star Wars. People love Ryan Gosling. I think that's just gonna be true. Super Gaming Texan, you say again you're still in the beginning of your journey, but I think my writing experiences out with the characters. So I don't think I made poetry, but I write characters that experience what I felt. So maybe that's my voice. Yeah, there's like different ways of exploring that too. Because like you want your characters to have distinct voices, but also like there's a writer or maybe one team of writers behind it. So especially when you're like creating characters, you gotta figure out how to flesh them out. And sometimes that is just like having them have like random conversations that you know aren't gonna be part of your story. Like, how does your character order coffee? Or what does your character text in like a group chat? Like, how do they text? You know, just little things to start filling in those gaps. And we're gonna start doing that with our characters in our TV pilot that we're gonna get to. I want to show you guys something that I found recently, or maybe I already knew about it, but I just forgot about it. This is something called Script Slugs. Scriptslug.com, and it is a website that has literally like screensplays that you can read. Like if I want to read the Red One screenplay, I can go through and it has the whole document here, which is crazy, and it has it for so much stuff. Like they have all the Oscar nominated ones. They've got like Wicked, they've got a bunch of new ones, a bunch of old ones. Do they have Indiana Jones? Yeah, they do. So like, I didn't know this existed, but this site is such a cool resource, especially for screenwriters like me who want to know how it's done. Well, I have a whole like wall of movies back here that I like claim are my favorite movies, and now I have like this example of how to work on them, or how they did it in their scripts, like with Elvis, you know. I wonder, do they have like if they have The Social Network? That would be cool. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. This is a really cool resource. I need more of this. Scriptslug, yeah, that's sweet. How your character would order coffee. Yeah, there's cool, or anything like that, you know, any mundane task or something you would think is normal. Like how would they do it? How would they say it? Approach it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be diving into this, but I just wanted to share that because I think that's really cool, man. That's cool. Wow. Conclave. I'm assuming everyone has heard about the Pope Francis. This movie is about to become a reality. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, I highly recommend it. It's a great drama and a really cool look into the Catholic Church. And I've watched it with some Catholic friends, and they enjoyed it as well. So, you know, nothing's perfect, but it's pretty cool. And with that, I want to ask you guys something. This is a very, hold on, I gotta turn off the jazz. This is a very important question. So I want you to listen careful and listen good. Not that. I want you to listen careful and listen good. I want to know, did you do your homework? I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, Super Gaming Texan. Did you do your homework? I know that anyone who was here last week was supposed to do our homework. No. We're ending stream. Bye. You didn't do your homework. Well, that's okay. I did say it was optional, and I was also the jerk that gave you homework for what's supposed to be fun. I'm just, I thought we had something. I thought we were like moving and grooving and last week I gave a prompt that was the sentence, "The message inside the fortune cookie, which contained only 4 words, has become my fate." You missed homework? Don't worry. I'll catch you up for this next time. You did miss homework, unfortunately. But it's okay, because I'm going to show you, as I like to do, what I did for it, and we'll talk about it. You haven't done writing all week. Oh, of course I forgive you. There's always forgiveness. As we always say
We
here.
don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Yes.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
And while I don't know if that applies to all areas in life when it comes to creativity, absolutely no worries here. I was doing something. Oh yeah, I was gonna pull up what I did for it. Yeah, basically last week I gave that sentence prompt, and I was just like, this is a good exercise that I like to use to get my head in the game, which is just to start writing something. And if I can pull the window up correctly, that would be awesome. So here's my little homework here. I literally only wrote for like, I wrote for like 5 minutes. I think I literally set a timer, and I was like, all right, 5 minutes. Does that look good? Oh no, it's cut off. Ah! Hello. Boom. I gave myself 5 whole minutes, and I said, all right, in 5 minutes, what can I write with this sentence here was the opening sentence. And I was like, boom, this is it. This is what I'm going to start with, and then I'm just going to go for 5 minutes and see what happens. And our current goal is not movie news, folks. Our current goal, I need someone to change my current goal for me, guys. I'm already outsourcing my work. Homework. Current goal, homework. The message inside the fortune cookie, which only contained 4 words, has become my fate. And then with 5 minutes, I did the following. I said, I threw it away somewhere. Where was it? There isn't much time. I search my pockets in desperation, only to find lint and tiny pebbles. I throw the pebbles to the floor and swing open my closet. I search through a pile of dirty laundry, emptying every fold and pocket along the way. Nothing. I look at my fingers. They've become gray and lifeless. I cry out. There's nothing left for me to do. A rush of adrenaline shoots through me and sends an image to my brain, the dumpster outside. Of course, I rush outdoors as the gray substance works its way up my arm. I heave open the heavy lid and grab the top trash bag. Ripping and tearing, I work my way through and spot a glimmer of white. It's small and crumpled, but it's here. I try to grab it, but my hand has become solid stone. Using my teeth to pull it open, I catch a glimpse of the words. I try to speak, but my mouth is frozen shut. The last thing I see are those awful words. Recite this. Medusa approaches. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, but also, what do you expect from yourself in 5 minutes, right? Like, this was literally just pooping this out and being like, what comes to me. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just started writing, and I was like, I hope I can think of the 4 words that would make sense. I don't know. I think something does happen to me. Like, I like putting a timer on myself to spark creativity, but what ends up happening is when I do that, whatever story I try to come up with is instantly about like some stressful, panicky situation where like I only have a number of seconds before something messes up. Like I think my energy going into it like automatically translated into the story. I'll say this is fine, but I feel like we can do better. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get our one for next week is gonna be. And the idea here is that literally we just get a sentence, let that be a start for some story or give you some creative element to go off of. And then you set a timer for yourself. You can make it 5 minutes, you can make it 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you feel like, you know, however much you care. You probably don't care too much. But then you just write, you know, you just write and you let yourself see where your brain goes. And it doesn't have to be good. That's the thing, is you can throw this away and you can look at it and be like, that was gross and that was awful and I'd never want to see that again. And you get to do that. So that's lovely. So this week's homework, we're going to call, actually, you know what? Current goal, not homework. Friendly stream mission. Smiley face. And yeah. Current goal, oh gosh. Current goal, not homework. I can't hear. Just friendly goal, not homework. Friendly stream mission. Smile. Yeah. Stream mission. So that's too long also. You can be small. So what we're gonna do is I'll give you the next sentence and then I'll let that be inspiration for you. This next sentence is I've walked by that old house hundreds of times in the past 2 years, but today was the first time I caught the little girl watching me from the window. What you're also gonna figure out, and what I often figure out doing these things, is I learn like what genre quickest comes to me. Now obviously this feels like it's leading you towards a spookier vibe, right? But you don't have to take it that way, you know? You can start spooky and lead it into something nice, but it's just a nice way to get words on paper, because sometimes we get so caught up and we just can't write anything because we're so like, I have to think of the perfect thing, or I have to figure out that it's gonna be good first and then I'll write it. And sometimes, most times, we don't have that luxury. We just gotta write. And so this is a nice way to get your brain's like warm up crap out of the way. And who knows, maybe you'll spit out something that you're like, ooh, that actually sounds like the start of a cool short story. I might do something with that. Hydrate or dihydrate. So yeah, that's the end of our homework section. I think everyone was very happy about that, and I think that is definitely my most successful thing. But enough dollying. We're not dollying anything. Enough dilly-dallying around. Good. Enough dilly-dallying around. Enough, you know, messing around. Who wants to write a TV show? Who wants to write a TV show? Say I do, because I do. That's kind of the whole idea here. I'm trying to get my classical vibes going. I know we always start with Claire de Lune, but I just think it's a good palate cleanser. They go a lot slower than I'm trying to go. Claire de Lune. Anybody? Classic. Yes, we need to do something today. Let me rephrase that. We're going to do something today. And that something is, no, not friendly stream mission. This is what I just had on screen. Write a TV show pilot. Yes, please. We're gonna start plotting the plot. And so let's really quickly, let's review where we're at. Get rid of our homework here. Let's review where we're at. So last time on writing a TV show, we chose a engine. We chose an idea that we want to pursue. And that idea is of right now it's just called Investigator Son. But it is this idea where a young investigative reporter is forced to go into dangerous territory while dealing with his own horrors at home. He's trying to break something big. There's this mystery element. We want there to be, well, we don't want, but there's going to be this death in the family, potentially the father, and now the older son has to move back in with his mom. Maybe he has an older sister or something. Or a slightly younger sister, but she's also an adult, and he's an adult now, and it's this like son taking care of mother dynamic. And then the main engine is that the bigger case is related to his father's death, and that's what gets him in there and gets him going. So we talked about that. I literally started watching this podcast, listening to this podcast. It made me get a New York Times subscription, so I guess they hooked me. And then I started watching The Newsroom, got through the first few episodes of that, gonna keep going. I really want to watch Spotlight. Also, I should mention, sorry, I just whip hand. Also, I should mention, on that Script Slug website, they have the first episode of Severance, and I took a little peep at it. It is way different than what actually showed up on the show. Like, it is drastically different, and so at some point in the future here, I want to go through and read through that script, because it's different than what ended up on screen, and I want to see what stayed and what got the attention of people to be like, now that's going to be the next big thing. I think that's really cool. And then we had these other ideas that we are going to table for now. But, what did I put here? Oh, this was brainstorming for Magic City. We're going to do a new brainstorm here, which is, and I quote, what do we want to happen? What do we want to happen? I think we could start from a lot of places. We could start from characters. We could start from our main character, and we could start with world building. I want to start with getting us excited about this show because of how awesome and gripping the plot is. So I think I want to start brainstorming, and I'm going to start brainstorming ideas for what we want to happen in the show. What twists do we want to come? What we can start filling in characters, who's going to be around. We're really just going to start brainstorming. We have the general concept, but now we need to start honing in on what's going to be the meat of this sort of John here. Is that proper use of that term, of this John? So what do we want to happen? We want, oh gosh, come back, please. We want Dad to die. We don't want Dad to die, but I think the crux of this show is going to be Dad to die. Father dies. I don't know if that is going to be, that probably is going to be the inciting incident. And if this is the case, we explore, then maybe we open the show with the death scene. If the whole thing is the mystery of what's happening to him, we could do the Only Murders intro, where we show his like death scene and hide a bunch of stuff, and then we come back to it later, maybe. Super Gaming Texan intro, MC's job, the stuff that will happen episode to episode. Intro, current state of Mother and Family. Yes, and that's the thing we got to think about too, is we're only writing the pilot, right? Like, we're not going to write the whole show unless, you know, someone wants us to write the whole show and make it. But it's going to be a good idea for us to know where we're going, so that we can set up a bunch of good questions in episode 1. Because you don't just want to set up something like, and then he sees visions of a polar bear hula hooping. And it's like, okay, maybe that's really intriguing, but then when someone's like, where's this going? Like, you know, it's probably a good idea to have an idea of what you are planning to do with that, you know? Yeah, we have to introduce our main players here, our characters. We have our investigator son. Maybe we can brainstorm names other than investigator son, mother. I was thinking, like, maybe he could have like a sibling. I mean, I think it would make sense for him to have a sibling. Like, my thought immediately goes to like younger sister, a few years younger, but that's just because I have a younger sister that's a few years younger. It also makes me think of that dynamic that Mark S has in Severance with his sister Devin. I really love their like relationship dynamic. Like, we really want to think, like, how sad do we want this guy to be, right? Because I was even like brainstorming, thinking like, okay, what if he's also like a single dad or something, you know? And it's not just like maybe he can relate to his mom in that sense, now that she, like, her spouse has died, maybe his spouse died. Like, we could go really, like, this guy could be in a dark place and have to rise up out of it. So, like, who's his family, right? That's important for us. I was trying to list the first episode stuff. I was listening because we might have a serial show or each episode has the same basic elements. That is something that we figure out in the pilot. Right. Yes, we need to figure out what structure sort of thing we're going to here. So we have the family dynamic. We don't just want that in the background. At least I don't just want that in the background. I think that's got to be like a forefront of the show. My concern there, my concern there is that I want to balance it where all sides of the show are interesting and exciting. You can really feel it when shows have like the main plot line that's going on and then the side characters, and it's like, okay, you know, like, we've got this side story, like his family or whatever, but like what happens, you know, in the case, what's happening next here. Like, we don't want that dynamic. We want it all to feel important, and just as like every scene that you leave, you should be like wishing that it wasn't over, but then just as excited to enter the next one. Like, that's what I felt about the latest season of Stranger Things 4, is that like they were juggling so many different characters and scenes, but every single time I was like, no, why are we leaving these characters? And then immediately, yes, I get to see what's going on with these guys. Like, that's the kind of energy that I want to try to capture. We don't just want that in the background. No siree, Bob. Bob's your uncle. Sorry to tell you. Investigator son, mother, who's his family. We don't just want that in the background. Okay, I had this cool idea of, what if, what if he has religious roots, like his mom is Christian or Catholic or something, and like he grew up in that, and then as he grew up, went out into the world, he became more jaded, but that's like still something that plays into it. Like I was talking about it with my roommate Carlos recently, of one of our favorite parts of the show Daredevil is his conflict and relationship with like the priest in the church he goes to, or he doesn't really go, but in his church in New York, he goes to like the confessional, and there's this cool like dialogue and conflict there with like, what is justice and what is God calling me to do, or how do I have justice in a world that is so brutal, right? And anyways, I just think it would be a cool thing if like maybe he had this sort of relationship with someone at the church, and like he goes there for like, when he's at his low moments for counsel, but he approaches it from a stance of like, this is, I've said no to this, and obviously there's something I respect here because I respect my mom and her life and her wishes, and I need miracles and prayer sometimes, but like, that's not who he is as a character, but that is the context he grew up in, kind of thing. Sarah, sorry, Mom, The Pit is like that. Yeah, I need to watch The Pit. It sounds really compelling. Then we'll need to stay focused. We shouldn't have too many plates spinning. Yeah, and that's something that I'll have to develop. And that's the cool thing about shows versus movies, is that you have a lot more time with the characters to get to flesh those side characters out more. But yeah, we should definitely feel out. But that could be a cool like his minister or something. Yeah, I'm just trying to picture who this guy is, and I guess that is kind of starting with character more so. We're gonna really dive in on who he is. We obviously are gonna have to have some like, where does he work? Let's start there. Like, where does he work? If he's an investigative reporter, like, does he work for a newspaper? Does he work for like a 9:00 news thing, CNN, whatever? Is he like a private investigator sort of deal? Is he, does he run his own blog? He has a blog, and he self-proclaims himself as investigative reporter. Does he run a podcast? I don't want to be too similar to Only Murders in the Building, because I wish they would go back to the crux of that show. They really, and this is fully getting opinionated now, and sorry if you haven't seen it, but they really lost it for me in this last season, and they lost the plot and the whole concept, which is like, how that thing is of like doing a podcast and a true crime podcast, and what if you were doing that live week to week? I feel like they kind of forgot about the podcast part, unless I just missed it, but I felt like I've seen less and less of that since the first season, and that's really fell in the background. And like, I loved season 3 because it was like such a like musical cool thing, and then they did like Hollywood and went completely away from everything this season. So I don't know, it's definitely odd. But anyways, I got off on a tangent there. The idea is that we don't want to steal their thing. I'm trying to, I would assume, so here's the basic conflict that I'm like workshopping right now. Basic conflict basic conflict that I'm workshopping right now is that, like, father has died, now has to take care of him, of like, maybe he has a daughter, mother. No, let's make it a son. Let's be interesting. Son. Because, you know, I think a son is more interesting if he does lose his father, because he himself is trying to figure out how to be a father to his own son, and now he's lost his father. So, like, father's died, now has to take care of son, mother, and himself, in that order. And stepping back from work, you know, like he's stepping away from the job, or he's failing at work, just like, he could be this like star investigator or something, you know, wants a star investigator, like he had the big bust of like 2009, you know, and he's been at it ever since. But he's losing his touch, and his boss is noticing. His boss is noticing, trying to get him to find that spark again, but he just can't do it. And he's pulling away from it all until a case shows up at his desk. And then I don't know why, I just keep picturing like he sees an image with like his dad's car in it. You know, there's like photograph of like the victim, you know, like maybe it's another case with a different victim, but it's a photograph of the victim, and his dad's car is in the back of the photo. Like he notices something, and it's like, whoa, that's my dad's car. And now it's like, wait a second, did my dad know this guy? There's something deeper now. And we can kind of follow that thread and be like, okay, you know, he's kind of trying to distract himself and wrap himself back up in his work. But what he's really trying to do is he is trying to get like an interaction back with his dad. And he's trying to unravel this story, kind of like you do, you know, when anyone dies, as you're going back and you're like, you know, oh my gosh, great movie, Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. They have this beautiful theme where it's like you can still learn new things about people and your loved ones once they're gone. It's gorgeous. But what if you do something like that where he's not just investigating this murder and trying to get behind the scenes of like what happened to my father, but he's also trying to like relive some moment with his dad that he's lost. Like that could be a cool thread to follow, like reliving moments with his father. And I know that's getting into theme, and that's not really something, like that's something to keep in mind, but that's something more that the audience will take out of it. Here, hold on, let me look at you guys' suggestions. Let's say he runs his own thing, so like private investigator, this is something we can change. He should have a job that demands a brighter attitude as part of the job. Preschool teachers have to be peppy just to alleviate some heaviness. True. Yes. Should we may have a main character be suspected killer? Yeah, I mean, we would definitely want to come in with some sort of suspects at some point. What I see, what I kind of feel, and maybe this changes, like maybe the opening death scene that isn't of his father, but it's of this other victim here, or whatever's going on with that. We might write a scene that's much more compelling and then just place that in front and come back to it. What was I gonna say? I feel like a good cliffhanger for the opening episode would be, wait, that's my dad. You know, like that's my dad's BMW. What's he doing in there? And then maybe being like, wait, I'm on the case. You know, something less corny, but something like that. Yeah, I think we said the death to someone unrelated. Yeah. Yeah, it's like unrelated. It should be someone that he doesn't know. And then he's like, how could my father have known this person? And what, like you were saying, Mom, about like having a job that demands a brighter attitude. Like one of the compelling things about Ted Lasso as a character, right, is that he is this guy who is completely off-putting to everyone else because of how he approaches the world and how he approaches relationships and comedy, and he has this effect on people. That's a very different story, definitely, where, you know, usually your main character goes on this big arc and ends a much different person. And don't get me wrong, Ted Lasso, he changes, but that one's much more of like, you know, like a story like Paddington, where Paddington doesn't really change that much. Ted Lasso doesn't change that much, but he changes everyone around him. So anyway, all that to say, not only should we like put our character, our guy in this situation, but like we could make him a unique character like that. Because I definitely think there should be some sort of levity in this show, and maybe we can bring that in with his son. And maybe it's a thing where, like, I don't know, maybe everyone around him, of course, like, the subject matter here is like a murder, or seemingly a murder. We don't know yet, but there's some case here. He doesn't have to be investigating a murder per se, but anyways, the subject matter is definitely like a darker one. But what if the point he was is that he is, you know, he's a lost point in this world that continues to like go on without him, you know? I'm not so sure yet. I'm not sure yet. Father's died, now has to take care of son, mother, and himself in that order. Stepping back from work, wants to start investigator, pulling away from it all until a case shows up at his desk. There's a photograph of the victim, and his dad's car is in the back. Reliving moments with his father through the investigation. How about a co-worker that sort of speaks on and to the main character? We need someone to inform the audience about stuff. Yes. Yeah, we need someone that he can bounce off of. Like, maybe he has a partner, you know? Maybe we play into the Sherlock and Watson vibe. And maybe his partner can be the polities of the group, you know? Or his polities, or his Tigger, his you see what I'm trying to get out here? His Watson. The Watson's not the most cheery, you know. Basically the sidekick character. His Coach Beard. Where you could have a character that is that lighter sense in his life. I mean, it would be cool if that was like, I'm imagining this like minister character, and I keep going back to it. Like, I keep imagining this like this young guy, or this guy who's like the same age as our main character, and maybe they grew up together in the church, and you know, they went separate paths. He pursued, you know, the church life versus our protagonist, you know, pursued the investigator life, because, you know, he's always been one to ask questions, and that could be a fun conversation too, where the minister's like, yeah, hey, I'm a curious guy too. What do you think I'm doing here? But he could be that source of light in his life. Of course, depending on what he does, I don't know how. I don't know how he plays into it. The Gus to his Spencer, great one. Great Gus. Thank you. Partner and minister, basically the same character. Yeah, there could be someone else, and that could be a route. And playing into the private investigator. What if we literally do a psych thing where, like, okay, he's working a job, right? He's losing his light at the job, or he's losing his spark at the job. He gets fired from the job. He has an informant. Okay, so maybe and again, the partner could be any of this. Informant lets him in on this case. This case that's like, hey, this might be good for you. Through that, he starts his own private investigation agency sort of thing. Though when I think of private investigator, I think of like affairs and whatnot, like investigating someone's affairs, which also, you know, we deal with some darkness there, but it could be like good questions of like morality, and like, oh shoot, you know, do I expose this person for what they did, or do I show, you know, let them off the hook and help them? Like, it kind of is that justice sort of question. Like, he could get fired in the middle of the episode, and then, or early on in the episode, and then he could try to, like, you know, I got to support my family somehow. I have these skills. I'm going to open my own private investigation firm. And then maybe through a case on that, or maybe through like someone he's investigating, he gets information that's related to his dad. Something like that. From Labor of Statistics, private detectives and investigators do the following: interview people to gather information, search online, public, and court records for civil judgments, criminal history, and other evidence. They conduct surveillance. Yes, makes sense. Just when when I think of it, I definitely go to like the, hey, can you follow my husband and see if he's cheating on me with someone? I do like what you're suggesting though. Yeah, there's something here. The only thing is, like, putting him in an office gives him an opportunity to work with other characters more. But if we are trying to lean into the family thing, like, if we want this to be a focal point and not just a background thing, then maybe him doing this, like, startup, you know, sort of grassroots thing from his home could be a cool way to do that. And yeah, there's still some missing pieces here. Yeah, it could be out of nowhere if we don't set it up right. Yeah, you're right. There's still some missing pieces here, and I know we had talked about the mom a little bit. Originally, it was this idea like he has to move back in to take care of her because she can't take care of herself. But now I'm thinking, you know, we haven't really... Okay, does this guy have any siblings? First of all, that's important to note. Second of all, if it does end up being like, you know, he has a son and he's lost his wife, and we won't reveal all at once what's happened with his wife, whether she's like left him or whether she has passed away as well. But what if it's left down to this threesome of just the mother, the investigator, and the investigator's son, and you have these like 3 generations that are forming this like tight but broken kind of family thing. Looking for a job in the episode could be interesting. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I also don't want to like wait too long to get into like the excitement and the case of it, but you know, you need the episode to introduce things. Introduce his character, mother. Like, is she sick? Is she sick? Place your bets, folks. Is mother sick? Or just not feeling well? Boss, you know, if he's fired, then that won't be. But he could have an informant at the place. Yes, I think he has siblings. But his father has to hurt the family, so none of them are willing to sacrifice for the family. I think I like the mom being sick. I mean, yeah, I like that, but do I like that? The only thing is, my only thing with that is that we're already setting ourselves up for a heavy show, you know, like heavy subject matter, which is not a bad thing at all. You know, heavy subject matter, like, you know, we're assuming this guy either lost his wife or was left by his wife, or left his wife, I guess, you know, whatever way you slice it, not easy. And then has lost his father. The mother has lost her husband. The son has lost his grandfather. So there's this overarching thing of loss, not to mention this job thing. And like, we're starting on a low note, and I just want, I want to be careful if we add the sickness to it, if it's going to be too much. Like, I don't think it's too far a reach and too far a cry to be like, okay, we've lost someone, I've lost someone, like, you know, I can't support me and my child. Like, it's just going to be easier if I move back in with you and we do this until we figure ourselves out, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be a permanent thing, but it can be like okay, well, my mom has no one and it's just us two for now. So, you know, what if the other person was like a stepsister? Ooh, yeah. What if, okay, so we're bringing levity in the son, and we're bringing levity in the, oh shoot, in the stepsister? Oh gosh, come back. Levity. I get what you're talking about, and we need to answer. Why help stay with the mom? Why would he show up? I think he shows up because they have no one left in each other's lives, you know? Like, that happens. It would be really funny. Okay, so, you know, I hope you're, I don't know what you're saying yes to, please clarify, but, what was I gonna say? It would be really funny if the stepsister was this, you know, this partner person, right? Like, she's the, like, assistant, and maybe she isn't, you know, down on her luck, or maybe she's not down on her luck, but, you know, she's also lost her stepfather. I think it's better if, yeah, that makes sense. If, so that makes her his stepmother, you know, the track, oh gosh. Stay with me, Isaac. So we have the sun, right? Like, look, can I draw in this? Can you draw in this program? Draw. Maybe mom's not sick, but we'll lose house insurance without, yeah, like, makes sense. So we have, oh gosh, this is gonna be perfect in every way. I have a mouse. We have the sun, right? Okay, let's track with me. But we shouldn't call him son. We should call him our main character. All right, we have our main character. He has a son. Okay. He also has a late and or ex-wife who is not in the picture anymore, we should say. Okay. He has a father. He has a dad, in a sense that he is directly related to. Dad marries stepmom of our main character, which means, you know, at some point, main character also had, you know, true mom, which means she's also out of the picture, either, you know, like this situation also. So that's like not there anymore, but it's there somewhere in his life. And then we have the stepmom, and the mom has a daughter. And we can have it where like his actual mom was like out of the picture a long time ago, you know, like very young, which makes sense why he would be like an only child in this situation and why they would have like remarried. So, you know, this step sibling relationship here can be like they're close like this, you know, they're basically brother and sister in actuality, you know. I don't know if this graph makes any sense to anyone but me, but you see what I'm getting at here. Like, real dad and real mom at some point have our main character. And then the mother leaves the picture. She's either, you know, dead or she's just left abandoned. And then the main character's dad remarries a stepmom who also comes in with a regular daughter, or maybe they can have the daughter together. I can see that too. That could be a thing. So it's like, is that still a half sister? Is that like a half sister though? Now I'm getting lost in the weeds here, because it would be a stepsister if she had the daughter already, right? But then it would be a half sister if they had it. Anyways, I think the stepsister should have a different father, and why he feels responsible for the mom. Keeps the family together. I think it should be his mom. He lost his dad. The stepsister's connected to the mom, so they don't both lose their father. Only the main character. Yeah, like I think there should be a connection here, because like, you know, she's gonna be grieving too, but he's gonna have the greater grief, because like maybe it was like for a while there it was just me and dad, you know, for a while there, me and dad, we were all each other had, you know, so this like is a strong bond here. And then along the way, these two enter the picture kind of thing. And so there's an adjustment there, but they have to, you know, figure out how to be close with each other. And they can be similarly aged. She can be older, she can be a little younger. Yes, half if they share a parent. I'm glad that the graph makes sense. Yes. And then, yeah, she can feel responsible for the mom. So if she is a stepmom, though, it means that also, and this is maybe, hold on. This is maybe less important than, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to move this, am I? Can I just, no, no, please. This is not the thing to draw on, I will say. Anyways, what I'm just trying to get at is that means at some point there was, you know, Dad 2 in the picture, you know, for both of these characters. I think it's just good to note that, because, like, what makes characters feel real is that they have, like, real lives and stories behind them and, like, a weight that's carried. Because, like, the daughter's gonna approach how she talks to her stepbrother because she can relate to the fact that, like, she's lost or no longer has, like, a dad, you know? But this is our, in here, this is, like, our core group is these kind of characters in the diaper here. These are the main characters. They're in the underwear, shall we say. And if, as long as they're in the underwear, we know that they are important to our story. Makes sense, everyone? Makes sense? You got the underwear analogy locked down? Hey, story time. Hey there, we're just talking characters. Yes, and okay. You're a little bit behind the 8 ball on this one. What you need to know is that you can't see this properly. There it is. What you need to know and catch up. Yes, talking about underwear always. But if we can just ignore the underwear for a second. We have our main character here, right? We have our main character. This is the main, like, conflict here, is that Dad is dead or missing. And we need to workshop and talk about how that happens more. But he's lost his dad. This is a big point of mourning and struggle, right? So he used to have a mom. She left the picture early in his life. So for most of the time, it was just him and Dad. Close, tight relationship. Then, at some point in the narrative, Dad meets stepmom, okay? And stepmom also comes in with daughter, because Dad number 2 over here is also out of the picture. So they are both, you know, he's a widower, she's a widow. Or maybe he's not a widower because we don't know if mom's dead or yeah, we don't know if his wife is dead or just gone. But no, he's not an orphan necessarily. So at some point in the picture, new stepmom who comes in with a daughter. So now he has a stepsister and they are close, but, you know, they meet probably around, like, you know, pre-teens. Maybe they're like 10 or something. Like, it's been a few years. Well, so for a while, it's just these 3. These 4. For a while, it's this core 4 family. That's enough. And then main character grows up, gets married, has a son. And then at some point, his wife either dies. His wife either... oh, that was really close to being good, and then it wasn't. His wife either dies or she just says no more to engagement. So then, you know, he's left with this son and he has to manage that by himself. And where we enter the story is that we've lost Dad. And we need to figure out how that happens. But that's the relationship dynamics that we are entering into here, which I think sets us up for a lot of dialogue. There's a lot going on here. So yes, at this point in the story, now our main character is moving back in with the mom because it's like these are all, she needs someone because this has been severed, and they only have each other. So we got this like kind of lightning bolt sort of thing going on here. And the daughter doesn't have to live with them, but I think he's going to feel responsible for taking care of her. Makes sense. Yeah, there's something here. So there's these characters, and where we were going with that is the stepsister can be his Watson, can be his private investigator buddy, and she needs to be the kind of the opposite of him. You know, we know a few things about him. We know that he is inquisitive. We know that he is jaded. You know, he struggles in his life, and he has just been fed up with the world. He is determined, and you know, he's probably going to start deflated. And I can't wait to explore what his arc is going to be. Exciting. Which means the stepsister needs to, like, he's going to be serious. She needs to be unserious. And she needs to be surprising. And, like, he's going to be sarcastic. She's going to be quick-witted against him, you know, in certain situations. Like, she's gonna be the person that's not gonna like take any of his crap, and she's just gonna like, she's gonna feed off of him, and she likes puns. You're not fully convinced that the stepsister should be the partner? I just think that yeah, sarcastic. She's also gonna be sarcastic. I think that he needs a partner, and if he is coming back home, if he's getting fired and coming back to this place of like, you know, I gotta start, I'm gonna work from home. Like, she seems like she could be the most accessible, where it's like, you know, maybe she has her own job, but she can come in and she's got like the social connections, you know, she's got like the social media status. It'd be funny, though I don't really want to do this because I think it would make her an annoying character, but it would be funny if she was like an influencer or something, or like a TikToker, and so she makes her money off of like internet stuff, and even the stepmom could, yes, she's the Polites. That's literally what we wrote here. Like, she could be his Polites, or his Watson, his Coach Beard, his Gus to Sean, his Tigger. And I feel like you could have some really like nice moments together with them, because like, you know, she gets what he's going through. Like, it's not like she doesn't get it. It's not like she's dumb, but she just chooses to look at the world in a lighter light. And it would be really funny if we had this, like, you know, like, we take the investigator show idea, you know, that where it's like usually this heavy, this dark, like, oh, we gotta get to the bottom of this, we gotta feel this out, and then as they're like figuring something out, his son runs into the room, and it's like, dad, look, I chicken jockey, you know,
chicken jockey.
Or like, you know, he has to take care of his mother along with it, so it's like he's being dragged a few different directions, and she needs to be the one that is gonna like make sure he doesn't sink into a pit, you know. That's what I'm feeling right now. And maybe her arc is more that she needs to be the, like, find that responsibility in herself, if she is the, like, the influencer sister kind of thing. The only reason I say influencer is I think that gives that almost too cheery vibe that we're looking for. I mean, she could also be a preschool teacher, but that's like, that kind of implies that she has that she takes like a lot of responsibility for herself. And like what I'm feeling is that the investigator son, who I'm going to continue to call him that until we give him a name, he's going to be the one that feels like he has to be the rock of the family and he has to be the responsible one. And then we kind of shift to see that he actually needs to be more of a dad to his son, and his responsibility is being a fun father for his son. Maybe unlike his father was, but we'll get more into that. And meanwhile, the sister needs to start taking responsibility, and she's going to get in situations that are like really serious, and she's going to have to deal with. Get down there. Our little diagram here, our perfect diagram. Can I bring back the underwear? Kind of. No, not at all. Anyways, and in some respects, a dad to the sister. Yeah, in a way. Yeah, she could be an artist, creative, look at the world as a big art piece. No mistakes, only happy accidents.
We don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
We have happy accidents.
I mean, she could, and that's the thing is, I think where we're gonna get like more than the two dimensions of her is in the fact that like she knows how to talk to her brother, and like match him. Like she's unserious, but she's smart. You know, she's not ditzy. She's not dumb. She had like their parents are smart. She is smart, but you know, when she could use that smartness to her advantage, she instead, you know, goes with the easy thing, or something like that. Yeah, I'm wondering what her vibe would be. Like, what if she's like in the, I mean, I'd quickly jump to like she could be a writer just because that's what's like closest to my heart. But I feel like that's almost too like that's not her energy, is the sit down for hours and at a computer and write. Like, I feel like she's traveling the world. She's like if Lindsay Bluth was smart. From Arrested Development. She's a theater kid. Maybe she's an actress. She could be an actress. That plays into the that could play into the influencer thing, is that like, you know, she acts somewhat. Yes, she needs a job with connections. Thank you, because especially like if she's gonna be the Watson and not just be the like sidekick, but she needs to give our main character something that he can't access himself. Like, what he has is he has the brain, he has the curiosity, and knows how to interview someone. Like, I feel like he needs an it factor where it's like, oh, this makes him unique. Like, I don't know if it's that he's got like photographic memory, or he can always tell when someone's lying. You know, there's a couple different stories like that. I feel like he needs a thing that's like makes him a powerhouse, but then like he fails, he can't do it all himself. How about the temporary name Costin? The name means the steady one. Costin. I've never heard of that name. That's a cool name though. Costin. Costin name. The name Costin is a first name and a surname. As a first name, it typically means steady or constant, deriving from Latin origin Constantinus. Costin. That's cool. Sonographic memory. Jeez. It kind of reminds me, I only watched the first 2 episodes, but it's called High Potential. I think some of you have seen it, but like she has a thing that makes her unique as a character. Names have meaning. True. I don't know. We'll hold on to the name. We'll come back and we'll have like sessions dedicated specifically to characters. I mean, I know we're developing them right now, but yeah, she needs a job like that with the social connections, like actress, influencer, TSA agent. No, yeah, the connections thing. Yeah. Diddaloo, dibba-dibba-diboo-doo. We'll skip this song, not the vibe. Yes, this is the vibe. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Okay, this is kind of like flowing together. I need to like see. Father dies. We need to talk about this. The father dies, right? Because Edward Jones employee. Not sponsored. We need to talk about this because I had an idea, and I was gonna say it's a spoiler idea, but like we're literally writing it, and so you're gonna know what happens. What if like, and I know it's thinking way too far ahead, but what if like the season cliffhanger or a future season cliffhanger, like if you really sat on it, is that the father is not dead somehow? You know, like what if, and my only question with that would be with like, how do they say he died, you know? And I know we're kind of playing into Severance territory here, but put that aside, or bring it in because we want that energy. What if he gets to the bottom of this and like the pinnacle of the show and like the great climax of the show is this reuniting, you know? And we get the reuniting from so many different angles. We get the reuniting father to the son. We get the reuniting father to the stepmother and to the stepdaughter and to the grandson. Like, if he's this pinnacle of mourning and like hurt, what if like the peak climax of like season whatever of this show is that they reunite, you know? I don't know. It's also one of those things where it's like, I don't know if it would be season 6. I don't know if it would be season 2, because it's like, how long can you drag that out and keep the audience where they're not like, they're never going to get there, you know? But imagine the catharsis if this whole time it's been this search and this like rabbit hole, and like the layers keep getting peeled back, and he's like, oh my gosh, he was involved in this bigger thing and this bigger thing and this bigger thing. And oh my gosh, they're like, he was at the head of this thing and I didn't know about it. Like what was happening here? And then at the end, they're like, he's still alive. And you know, we can end it a couple different ways. You can end it tragic, but like the height of the show would be that like he's alive, you know? Like I can just imagine that being like a beautiful boom, you know? Do we still want the unrelated death to get the story started because of the father's death? Because the father's death has a lot of moving parts of it. It's the main part of the mystery. Well, here's the thing, is like, if we're creating that mystery and we want our audience to know as little as, if we want the audience to know as little as our main character does, like, I don't think we should show the father's death first. Cause like, yeah, especially if we want to keep it ambiguous, like maybe he's still alive, you know? And that's one of those things that's like, you have to earn it. Cause if it's just like, actually he's alive, then it's like, oh, well, what was all of this about, you know? Like if a whole through thread of this show is the mourning. Like, is it gonna feel rough to like rip that back and say, actually, he's fine, you know? But I think bottom line, at least for now of where I am in the staging process, like I don't want to know if he's dead or not yet. But then what's the story of like, how do they know he's dead? Or what happened to him? Did he die? Cause either way, he's like involved in this case, whatever it is. And so clearly he's involved in something bigger and like keeping secrets from his son, the investigative reporter. So I think we're building that like his father's very cunning as well, you know? He's very cunning and secretive. But like unassuming, you know, like they don't think about it. Yeah, we don't have to decide on it now. Not deciding anything, but we should kind of lock in like, yeah, he's dead, but like how, you know, how did he die? Did he die in an accident? What does his father do? You know, if he's an investigative reporter, what did his father do beforehand? Like, was his father a cop? And what if we played that into the morality thing? Where it's like, okay, his father is in the police force. He didn't want to join the police force, so he became an investigative reporter because he still wants to like get to the bottom of things, but he doesn't want to, you know, he doesn't want to hold a gun or something. His father's in the police force, and they tell him that the father like dies on the field. But then we realize later on that the father was actually involved in something where his father's a criminal. You know, his father is actually like undercover in the cops for this other group, this like criminal organization thing. And so there might be something there, like, oh, I'm gone. I'm back. Could he be a cop? Or a lawyer, like a firefighter? Cop, firefighter. Yeah, civil worker, something like that. Plot twist, the stepmom did it. What? That would be terrible. That would also play in really well to like, there's like this bittersweet feeling where it's like, you know, maybe they can help him or save him or something, but then it's like, you lied to us all our lives, you know, like who knows about it? Who doesn't know about it? Something there. But if it is a service worker, then it could be something like lost on the line of duty or something. I don't know. Like if it's a firefighter, let's go with that narrative. His dad's a firefighter, right? They could do something where it's like, yeah, he died in this big fire and his body was never found. You know, that the remains were too scorched to like, there was nothing to salvage, kind of thing. Do you think the stepmom could have a missing detail? Yeah, maybe she knows something. Maybe she knows something more. And maybe this whole time she's like, no, son, I'm fine, I'm fine. Maybe she is fine because maybe she knows that the father is alive. But what a sick thing to do to your son and stepdaughter. If she like, if she knows he's alive and like is having to see the son deal with that and not tell him. But it could also play really well into the fact that like you could set up this thing where, you know, maybe they played Mafia when they were kids, right? And they set up this ordeal where it's like, the only person I could never read was mom, you know? Which might be too corny, but like, you know, Could be something. She knows, but she can't say anything because his life would be in jeopardy now too. Firefighters also got to people's houses. The ambulance is not the only truck that goes to people's houses. The ambulance is not the only truck that goes to help sick people. True. So if the narrative here is big fire, they go in, you know, like a team goes in to fight this fire, and it's this tragedy where like they helped it die out, they saved people, but in the end they couldn't make it. They didn't make it, and no one from that team made it, except later on we reveal he did make it, but I don't know about that yet. We're getting too ahead of ourselves. But if the mother knows about this, that he's involved in this like bigger crime syndicate, or maybe he's not in this bigger crime syndicate, maybe he's playing a mole on like every side, where he's like, he's in this criminal organization, but he's actually like trying to like bring them to justice, and so he's like playing both sides, you know, like unassuming, two-sided, hard to know where he lies. And then the mom could be like protecting him, because the mother's no idiot either, you know, like they're close, they have a strong relationship. And so we could flash back later on to like scenes where they're talking this through, and like, you know, they're both strong, and she's having to be like, she's almost having to be stronger than him, and she's like sacrificing the fact that she can't tell her children that their father is actually alive to protect his life and all of their lives. Something like that. Kids. Is he alive? Does the mother know? Maybe she's protecting the dad by not saying anything. Yeah, she could be, especially with her son being the reporter he is. Maybe she knows what happened because they expect it, and if it got out, it's bad. Yeah, there could be something, especially with like her son being what we're placing as this like star journalist or whatever. Like they don't want to risk it. Stepmom should know he's alive, only that something fake was reported about the death. Shouldn't know that he's alive. Yeah, it's a interesting thing of deception here, and I think there's really room to play where it's like, you know, the only people I could never read were my parents, you know, and maybe that's his superpower, is he can always read. Maybe we can play into this, like he can like read souls. Like maybe whatever the big thing was, the big bust was like he interviewed, and we could have some like room for great dialogue here, is like he's an incredible interviewer, so much so that they say he can read people's souls. The soul reader is what they call him. They call him the soul reader, right? And then like we bring in this cool dialogue with the minister where it's like, soul reader, huh? You know, where you know, where you getting that power? Like he could be they're kind of like marking him as this like modern day prophet. Like, oh my gosh, how can he see? And he's like, I can read everyone's souls except my parents. You know, there's something in them where I could never read them, you know. Now you're sounding even more like Psych. Yeah, you're right. You could do something like The Sixth Sense, where he's one way, but if you go back and watch it, you see something different. Yeah, true. Good twist. What could that be? Minister is like, he could be an old friend. You know, this would be more like the mentor character, right? And I just have this like vision of like a scene with protagonist coming in with nowhere else to go, and he has to set up like a crazy wall, you know, like this connects to this and this connects to this. Like he has to hide in the church, you know, somewhere he would never go, and like he has to hide out and he has to set up. And the minister, old friend, he's like there, he's like, I'm here to help. And it's like they've got her, they've got my sister or something. Like I don't know, like I feel like we're building up this tension, and I just see this like this would be a cool scene. And this cool, like I really love this idea of the minister thing, because I really want to play into this theme and this question of truth, and like especially in investigating the truth, and like who's telling the truth, what is real. And it's like, you have this belief, I don't jive with that, you know, but I can't say there's nothing in it, because I've seen too much and had too much revealed to me to say it's all fake. And like I feel like we could have some really good mentor moments where he's talking about like, you know, faith and truth, and like what is curiosity and faith. And faith is all about asking questions, you know, to this friend. And like the old friend could even know, you know, your father always said, or like, you know, your mother and father would bring you in here, and I could just tell that you wanted to leave the second you walked in, you know, something like that. I feel there's something there that's heavily inspired by the daredevil-y vibe, you know. Yeah. Stepmom. Ugh. I keep deleting my face cam and everything when I do that. Yeah. So we're brainstorming all of these events, and I think we're getting an exciting idea of like who we're getting an exciting idea of like the things that could happen and the like intrigue that's being built up. And I think we're building our characters to be like compelling like three-dimensional people, which is good. We need to throw in more conflict and more like, we need to keep developing a lot more like what is against these things, and I guess basically figure out for ourselves, investigate what is the big mystery. Because if we can start from the end point and be like, this is, you know, what we know, then we can work our way back and start taking away details that are going to become those questions of what does this mean? Who is this? Without it being super obvious. Let's see. Super Gaming Texans, you're saying, all lies have some truth. Everything said is a little bit true, otherwise everyone would know. Keep asking questions, kid. I love putting in the kid. Keep asking questions, kid. I'm a minister. I'm smoking in the church. Real quick words idea or quote idea. Yeah, that's cool. I think that's he definitely has that mentor vibe. Fired him. Basic conflict. Or I guess we could put this as like, oh shoot, come back to me. Played Mafia as kids. Basic structure, you know. Father has died. Has to take care of, oh gosh, has to take care of son, mother, and himself. In that order. Sister in the mix. Stepping back from work. Stepping back from work. This is more so character stuff. We'll put it back. We'll put it up here with him. The Soul Reader. Hey, do you think we might be... This would be a cool title. Later. Something I always do when I come up with a title is I look up, is it already a title? Soul Reader. Well, there's like a book series, Soul Reader. Maybe the minister is his dad. How easy it is to get point A to point B. The pastor could reunite with him because he does occasional articles for the paper. Yeah, maybe they have like a... That would be cool if there was like a weekly column or something that he does, you know, to make his mother happy. Like, you know, he has this one thing where he's like, you know, when the cases are slow or whatever, like I have this weekly column with the minister, and then they have these weekly check-ins. Maybe the minister is his dad. What time period is this set in? What availability to connections and communication do they have? I was thinking that it would be modern day. But, you know, it's always like a battle that you have to choose, because it's like, if you put it in modern day, you have the advantage of like, you know, the technology and you know the things capable, and you can work with that. But there is also the advantage of putting it like further back in time, which is less communication, and it feels like there's more mystery because you can't just like look up things or have information at your fingertips. However, by putting it in like a period piece kind of thing, you have to like start staying true to that period, and so you have to make sure that everything you're writing fits in that structure. So it's definitely something to consider, and keeping it realistic, because you have to keep it realistic either way. Like, you can't be like, oh, well, how could they not know that in the 21st century? Or you can't be like, oh, how they wouldn't have that, or they wouldn't do that or talk like that in that time frame, you know? So definitely something to look into. Weekly check-ins, or a column or something. Informant at work. Stepping back from work, pulling away from it all until he's fired. We know that's where we want to end up. You remove tools from the character to magically fix the issue, but I do like that in modern times. Yeah, when you said in the past, you remove the tools. But it also just forces you to be more creative with like the issues they're dealing with. Like, you know, because even with all the technology we have, there's still so much we struggle with, and so many struggles that we can have. Struggling. He's Amish. You just changed the whole tone of the show. He's Amish. Problem fixed. Did that fix the problem? Did that fix the problem? You're telling me that was the solution that we needed. The attack of the Amish guys. I think you're writing a different show here. I think you're writing a different sort of show here. This is not the vibe that we were looking for. I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna get copyright claim for this, but this is what you want. You want...
As I walk through the valley where I harvest my grain, I take a look at my wife and fool, and I've been milked, and I'm into been spending most our lives living in an Amish paradise. I churn butter once or twice, living in an Amish paradise.
No. How about no? That's what I have to say to that. What I have to say to that is, that's not it. Okay? That's not what we're going for. Sorry, I'm sorry. Listen, this is the collaborative process. Sometimes we have good ideas, and sometimes we have poop ideas. And that was a stinker, okay? All right. Just so we're clear on that. That's not very chicken jockey of you. I can be as chicken jockey as I want. Okay? So back off. Okay. Father's died. Dun dun dun. But we can start not there. Come back to me. Father has died. Open on some crime scene. Something. Or maybe like, if it is like getting to the end of the season, like we do a scene from like later in the season that's not actually gonna be in this episode. Like we could have our guy being interrogated, you know? Like what if he's being interrogated for what he's done, and like someone's like beating him up and like, tell me what you know, Soul Reader, you know? Also, the more I say it, the more I feel like Soul Reader could be a cool title for this show. You know what I'm saying? Like if we really play into that, and it's like they call him the Soul Reader, you know, and it's not like a superpower per se, but that's just what they call him. And then we show off his skills in the fact that like he knows stuff that he shouldn't know. Like he's kind of like, I guess he's kind of like a psychic a little bit, but he's not really a psychic, you know? He's really got this knack for reading people. And we could show that in like, what if the opening scene, this is a pure what if. What if in the opening scene, he's being beat up to a pulp, but then he reads something in the interrogator and breaks him emotionally, and we establish immediately the question of why are they beating him up. We have some dialogue in there that's like, okay, what are they talking about? Why is he here? And then we introduce this weird thing in him where it's like, you know, maybe another guy's in there and he's like, don't let him break you. Don't let him break you. I don't know why they're Russian, but don't let him break you. But then he's talking to him and he's like, you know, he's doing some sort of dialogue, like, you know, like kind of like Hannibal Lecter did for Jodie Foster, what's her name? Agent Sterling in Silence of the Lambs, where he just reads people. He knows how to read her because he's like this psychologist, and he's like, you remember Clarice, you know, the screaming of the lambs, all those times in the car with the boys and the fumblings, you know, you wear this perfume at this day. Like, he doesn't talk like that. He talks like a normal person. He doesn't talk like a crazy psycho, but like he gets in the other guy's head and he like beats him psychologically. And so we immediately establish like, okay, he's got some weird power going on here. That's not a power, but is where he can read people. And then we've got like, what the heck is happening here? My only question would be like, where, like, maybe we could tie in the family there, but maybe we don't need to, you know, like we can bring them in later. Like if I'm watching a show and I'm trying to hook someone first moments, you can either do something really hard and like, pun not intended, punchy like that, or you could do something a lot softer that really like get you in the head of the character. Like maybe he's just like on a park bench and like someone comes to sit by him, and then like, you know, he's really good at reading people, but he's terrible at reading like social cues. And so he does the like Sherlock thing where he tells you so much about yourself, and then he tells you the really embarrassing things about yourself, and then the person like throws the glass in his face and walks away. And it's like, you know, he just like, without breaking a sweat, like, you know, wipes that off and writes in his journal, his pad or something. I don't know. I like the idea of the first scene is just the scene from the season 1 finale, something like that. Reverse interrogation, the person talked to is the one that learns everything about the other guy. Yes, something like that. AI definition, a soul reader. A soul reader is a person who claims to be able to access and interpret information about a person's soul, often using intuitive or psychic abilities. Though this starts it off very strong, we may need to pull back the reins a bit. True, maybe. They may provide guidance, insights, and clarity on a person's life purpose, past experiences, and future possibilities. Okay, that makes me think that part of the conflict that he has in his like job and work is that he could really be using this like gift he has to read people for good, and like he has 20/20 vision into other people's lives, and could like tell them, you know, he could like give them affirmation. He could give them like he knows that all they want to hear is validation in their life, like from a parent or from their job. Like he's kind of an overglorified therapist, and like he could be really good at doing that, but instead he uses his strength instead to like break people and get into their heads and get truth out of them, when he could use it to lift people up and really help people out of hard situations, you know? And then the soul reader thing, it's kind of an interesting title because, like, first of all, soul is in there, which can mean a lot of different things. But it has this thing where it's like, you know, what about his soul? You know, what's going on with his psyche and what's going on in his head and his heart? That's like we're trying to define here, you know? Soul reader. I can't spell title. Soul reader. Tentative title. Let's see. You know Sunset Shimmer, My Little Pony? Yes. How in the magic of Ever Free, when she touches another character, she can see what they're thinking or see a conversation they've had. There's something like that. Yeah, I'm debating whether it should be, like, we should add this supernatural aspect to it or not, because I see, like, two things that, like, you could go about it both ways. Like, if you add the supernatural aspect, I think that helps with your premise and your engine of like, whoa, this is a weird power thing he has. Like, is it from God? Is it from within? I don't know. So you could do something supernatural about it, or you could do more like a psych thing where it's like, it's not, you know, maybe there's a touch of supernatural, but it's not like a superpower. He is just like incredibly talented in this way. Like, I feel like I could see it going either ways, you know? Like, he touches someone and he literally gets a vision of like a conversation that's happened, but he has to like touch them. You know, maybe that's the conflict of the first scene is like, why is he trying to touch this guy that's like interviewing him? Or maybe, it would be cool if we were going down the supernatural route. It would be cool if like in the first scene, he's trying to egg the guy on, like whoever is in there interrogating him, like he, like, you know, hold on, he walks in, you know, the big guy is like, hey, I'm here for a Mr. Smalls or something. Like, they're having this back and forth dialogue trying to outsmart each other, and our main character is trying to like egg him on and like get him like riled up so that he hits him. And then when he hits him, he touches him, and then we don't show it yet, but when he touches him and hits him, he can see exactly what he needs to see to get into his head and like break him emotionally. Like, that could be a cool thing that's like, whoa, he's like manipulating this guy and tricking him, you know? he only sees the bad. He has trouble seeing any good in any hearts. He realizes how anyone can do so bad. So nothing. Hold on, I need to read that again. He only sees the bad, and he has trouble seeing good in any hearts. He sees how anyone can do bad, so he realizes that nothing anyone can do is good. Ooh, I like, there's something like thematic there, the theme idea, where it's like, he sees the potential for evil in everyone, so he gives up on people. Like, maybe at one point in his life he thought he could help people or redeem people. He sees the potential for evil in everyone around him, so he gives up on people and refuses to believe that in their redemption, you know? Like, because he has human sight, but he has this supernatural sight into everyone's evil that, like, you know, he's kind of broken the illusion for himself of, like, you know, people being a good person. Like, he can feel and see people. I feel like that's really if we go the supernatural route, though. I mean, you can do that without going supernatural. Like, maybe he's just lived long enough and seen enough people where he's like, yeah, people just, you know, they end evil always. But yeah, there's something in that. Storytime, that's an interesting idea. It might be too magical, but something like that could work. And it's the depth of the relationship in his dad, or he had with his dad, that developed such depth in understanding others. It's the depth of the relationship he had with his dad that developed such depth in understanding others. Yeah, I feel like there's got to be, like, whether you go supernatural or not, like, the relationship he has with his father has implanted this into him. Very, very much like Psych. You know, like, Psych, they are constantly flashbacking to how Sean's father has embedded this skill into him over time. You could do something like that. Except my parents' dad taught me everything I know. You could even do a cool allusion, like, to the Bible in the story where Samuel and Eli are, like, Samuel's a young boy and Eli is sleeping, and God calls out to Samuel. He's like, Samuel, and then he goes over to Eli and he's like, Dad, what do you want? Or Eli, what do you want? I'm here. And then the third time, Eli's like, next time God calls, like, say this to him, because I'm not the one calling you. You could do a cool, like, nod to that story. When people touch him, yeah, that would be cool. Dang, this is hard. I personally like the Psych direction, but I can see why it's hard to decide. The idea of, if you look for evil, you will find it, but coming to a place that if you look for good, you can find that in them too. Yes, I really like that as like an arc. Like, he starts in a place that is, like, he can't see good in people and refuses to believe in their redemption. But if you choose to look for good, there is a capacity for that as well. You know, I feel like there's a lot of cool, like, emotional draws you can pull from that. Yes. And I mean, we don't have to clearly define necessarily whether this is, like, supernatural or not supernatural, you know? Like, it could be that, like, it could be a fuzzy line of both, you know, where it's like he has all these observation skills and there is this just, like, Sherlock sense about him, but then there is also something like that is just slightly above human, you know, that is slightly supernatural in some sense, where it's like even he can't explain it in himself, which adds to his conflict with, like, the church in general and the ministers. Like, there's some gift in him just inherent that he can't explain despite his, like, analytical sense, you know? Yeah. This is good. This is a good start with like this theme here, cuz like there are obviously more themes in here. There's themes of loss, you know, and there's themes of father that like I mean, there's themes of family in general, but more specifically like father-son relationship, you know, and like parent-child, siblings, you know. Think I like that in between idea, not fully magic, not fully human. Yeah, there's something there where it's like, I mean, it plays into that idea of like faith and religion too, you know, where it's like people kind of interpret it as they can, you know. They look at him, and some people can chalk it up to, you know, he's got an incredible IQ. He's a total empath, and he can just feel a person, and you know, they science it out and reason. And then other people in his life, or other people are saying like, you know, he's a literal soul reader. He's a prophet, you know, he's calling these things out. Yeah. Which, you know what, that makes me feel like, what if his name was Samuel? You know? What if his name was Sam? Because Samuel was a prophet. Ooh. And Sam, I'm trying to think if there's like a better like allusion, you know, to like a prophet in the Bible, or someone who specifically could see things in others, sort of thing. But like Samuel would be that could be a cool like name and a nod to like Samuel Smalls. Oh, my AirPod just died. Whoops-a-daisy. That could be a cool nod to that, and to his like whatever his power is, you know, supernatural or not. Let's brainstorm for another 15 minutes, and then we'll read our book and we'll call it a day. Oh, this charger won't work. Samuel Cinnamon. Samuel Samantha. Samuel Reader. Ooh, I like that. The Readers. And then it's called Soul Reader because they're like, yeah, Samuel Ryder. Samuel Ryder. I like the ideas here. Samuel Reader, Samuel Ryder. Samuel Rudder. Samuel Reader. I don't hate that, because it plays into our title, and it would make sense if, like, you know, pop culture started calling him like Soul Reader. That's his nickname. Like, I've never heard Reader as a last name, but it fits for some reason. The Reader family name has English origins. Ow. I don't hate that. I'm gonna come back to that. Because I feel like, you know, there might be something more there, but I like that. Samuel Ryder, Reader. Samantha. We are the Reader family, and no, we don't like books. Wait, Jacob's middle name is Samuel? What? Now that's nuts. We're the Reader family, and no, we don't like books. That is so corny. Is the sister saying that? Who's saying that? Okay, who's saying that line? The father at the end of the show is gonna say, "We are the Readers, and I never learned how." The narrator is gonna say that. That sounds like the stepsister. Dude, wouldn't it be crazy though if like Like, I don't know if this show has a need for a narrator, but if you went a narrator route, that, like, it was the dad telling it the whole time, you know, that'd be interesting. Also, the music stopped. I don't know when. Restart capture. Okay. There it is. Yeah. So no one is called Cinnamon either, but it's a good last name. Hey, you know, fair enough. Samuel Reeder. Sam Reeder. Comes off the tongue nice. Sam Reeder. Kind of like Jack Reacher. I've never seen that show. Reacher. Soul Reader. Soul Reader. Copyright. Me. Yeah, we've got a lot of good elements here already. I love this. I love this idea. We can really play off of that. I'm gonna do some like deep thinking on this and see how it plays into events that can happen. Oh yeah, we were writing themes. Yeah, it's about family, it's about loss, it's about morality. Samuel means heard by God. Samuel means God has heard, or name of God. It is associated with a prophet, judge, and leader. God has heard. Yeah, that's cool. Names that mean soul reader. There are names that mean soul, but I don't know if that's right. Names that mean prophet. Elijah, Samuel, Eli, Cassandra Reader, Cassie. What is a Cassie? Why does that sound like a familiar character name? Does anyone know Cassie from something? I think I'm thinking of Chrissy from Stranger Things. Of course, I wouldn't want to just... What does Cassandra mean as a name? It means prophetess. It's a Greek myth of a prophetess cursed by Apollo. Yeah, I don't know if I would just give that to her just based on the fact that she's the brother of Sam, the sister of Sam. But that could be cool. I looked at her names. I've looked for names that mean intuition. Not any good options. Cassie Hawkeye? Is that her name? Cassie Hawkeye. Yeah. Oh wait, no, Cassie's the daughter from Ant-Man. Cassie's the daughter from Ant-Man, gosh darn it. Bruh. Five Nights at Freddy's? Please elaborate. Please tell me what you mean by that. We're gonna... Hold on. No. Stop the music. We're gonna sit here, and I'm gonna wait until you tell me what that... Are you saying that there's a character? Five Nights at Freddy's character. Cassie. Is there a character named Cassie? Is it in the movie? There is a character named Cassie who shows up in a DLC of the newest Five Nights at Freddy's game. Is that what you're getting at? I don't know. I don't know, kids. Think mom's gone off the deep end. Yes. Morality, loss, family. It's all about family. I mean, it's a little bit about faith. The supernatural. Yes, I did ask where that name was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I got a little aggressive. I just wasn't expecting the Five Nights at Freddy's reference from my mom today, okay? That was not where my head was at. I apologize. supernatural. That's not really a theme, but lost family. Deception. So I feel like our engine has shifted a little bit, if that's fair to say. If it's called Soul Reader, our engine has shifted a hair. Which, to be fair, this does play a little bit into an archetype. Dinner's on. Until next time. Hey, thanks for joining. Appreciate you so much. And you should be proud of how many ideas popped up on this list. You sparked a lot in this, so I really appreciate that. Go have good food, go eat well. I'm gonna do so as well in about half an hour here, so have a good evening. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, our engine has shifted just a hair. Engine. Engine. A young investigative reporter. Here. After the death of his father. A young investigative reporter with the ability to read others' souls. After the death of his father, a young investigative reporter with the ability to read souls must get to the bottom of his father's, maybe not the death, I guess. After, maybe we say disappearance, but it's not just a disappearance at first, you know? I'm sorry. After the disappearance, after the supposed death of his father, a young investigative reporter, Samuel Reeder. You also threw out the idea. Oh, I'm sorry, the music's getting loud. You also threw out the idea for the name Hudson. The name means son of Hud, but more on it is heart, mind, and spirit. That's kind of cool. Hudson Reeder. Maybe that's his son's name. Hudson. I don't hate that. Son. Oh gosh. Come back. Hudson. Perhaps. It's kind of cool. After the supposed death of his father, Samuel Reeder, an investigative reporter with the ability to read souls, discovers that maybe we phrase it like this. Samuel Reeder, an investigative reporter with the ability to read souls, discovered that his recently deceased father is involved in a web of deception and criminal activity. When Samuel Reeder, an investigative reporter with the ability to read souls, discovers that his recently deceased father is involved in a web of deception and criminal activity, he's forced to follow the thread until he's forced to follow the thread. He's forced to work with his stepsister. Oh. and follow the thread to the truth. To the truth. While figuring out his relationship with his own son. While finding his place as a member, while finding his place within the rest of his family. That kind of became a synopsis and less of an engine, but that's kind of the thing. When Samuel Reeder, an investigative reporter with the ability to read souls, discovers that his recently deceased father is involved in a web of deception and criminal activity, he's forced to work with his stepsister and follow the thread to the truth, to the harsh truth, while finding his place as a father himself. While finding out how to be a father himself. While discovering how to be a father himself. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have something. What we have here is an engine that wants to run. We've got an engine. We've got a protagonist. We've got many relationships to the protagonist. We have a mission. We have a conflict. And we have a long way to go. But you know what? It's just beginning. Woo! Oh. Oh, heck yeah. Well. That is what I call a productive brainstorming writing session. I did not know going into that what we were going to unveil and discover, but what we have here, I think, is the start of something kind of awesome. We still have a lot of questions left unanswered. We still have so many gaps to fill in, but I feel like we're at a starting place that is really, really good for us. It's a good starting place. It's something that we should be proud of, and I'm proud of. Cool. Sweet. Let me close that. And we have about 30 minutes here, and I am just going to get back into our book, Sense and Sensibility. We have been off of it for a minute. We've been off for a minute there, but I do believe that we can get back into the swing of things. I'm sorry. I was going to say I will stop the voice, but I'm literally about to do the voice a lot. So, I don't know if this is going to be non-copywritten. Okay. Hey. I'm going to just go to this playlist because I know these ones are good. Excellent. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful job, everyone. Let's wind down. Let me drink this one more time. Okay. Sense and Sensibility. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, with the sisters, with the fam. Back with the fam. I believe where we left off, Eleanor was pursuing a potential new opportunity with John, Sir John. So, without further ado, Chapter 5. No sooner was her answer dispatched than Miss Dashwood indulged herself in the pleasure of announcing to her son-in-law and his wife that she was provided with an house, and should incommode them no longer than till everything were ready for her inhabiting it. They heard her with surprise. Mrs. John Dashwood said nothing, but her husband civilly hoped that she would not be settled far from Norland. She had great satisfaction in replying that she was going into Devonshire. Edward turned hastily towards her on hearing this, and in a voice of surprise and concern which required no explanation to her, repeated, "Devonshire? Are you indeed going there? So far from hence? And to what part of it?" She explained the situation. It was within 4 miles northward of Exeter. "It is but a cottage," she continued, "but I hope to see many of my friends in it. A room or two can easily be added, and if my friends find no difficulty in traveling so far to see me, I am sure I will find none in accommodating them." She concluded with a very kind invitation to Mr. and Mrs. John Dashwood to visit her at Barton, and to Edward she gave one with still greater affection. Though her late conversation with her daughter-in-law had made her resolve on remaining at Norland no longer than was unavoidable, it had not produced the smallest effect on her in that point to which it principally attended. To separate Edward and Eleanor was as far from being her object as ever, and she wished to show Mrs. John Dashwood by this pointed invitation to her brother how totally she disregarded her disapprobation of the match. They're throwing a lot of big words at me. Mr. John Dashwood told his mother again and again how exceedingly sorry he was that she had taken an house at such a distance from Norland as to prevent his being of any service to her in removing her furniture. He really felt conscientiously vexed on the occasion, for the very exertion to which he had limited the performance of his promise to his father was by this arrangement rendered impracticable. The furniture was all sent round by water. It chiefly consisted of household linen, plate, china, and books, with an handsome pianoforte of Marianne's. Mrs. John Dashwood saw the packages depart with a sigh. She could not help feeling it hard that, as Mrs. Dashwood's income would be so trifling in comparison with their own, she should have any handsome article of furniture. Mrs. Dashwood took the house for a 12-month. It was ready furnished, and she might have immediate possession. No difficulty arose on either side in the agreement, and she waited only for the disposal of her effects at Norland and to determine her future household before she set off for the West, and this, as she was exceedingly rapid in the performance of everything that interested her, was soon done. The horses which were left her by her husband had been sold soon after his death, and an opportunity now offering of disposing of her carriage, she agreed to sell that likewise at the earnest advice of her eldest daughter. For the comfort of her children, had she consulted only her own wishes, she would have kept it, but the discretion of Eleanor prevailed. Her wisdom too limited the number of their servants to 3, 2 maids and a man, with whom they were speedily provided from amongst those who had formed their establishment at Norland. The man and one of the maids were sent off immediately into Devonshire to prepare the house for their mistress's arrival. For as Lady Middleton was entirely unknown to Mrs. Dashwood, she preferred going directly to the cottage to being a visitor at Barton Park, and she relied so undoubtingly on Sir John's description of the house as to feel no curiosity to examine it herself till she entered it as her own. Her eagerness to be gone from Norland was preserved from diminution by the evident satisfaction of her daughter-in-law in the prospect of her removal, a satisfaction which was but feebly attempted to be concealed under a cold invitation to her to defer her departure. Now was the time when her son-in-law's promise to his father might with particular propriety be fulfilled. Since he had neglected to do it on first coming to the estate, their quitting his house might be looked on as the most suitable period for its accomplishment. but Mrs. Dashwood began shortly to give over every hope of the kind, and to be convinced from the general drift of his discourse that his assistance extended no farther than their maintenance for 6 months at Norland. He so frequently talked of the increasing expenses of housekeeping, and of the perpetual demands upon his purse which a man of any consequence in the world was beyond calculation exposed to, that he seemed rather to stand in need of more money himself than to have any design of giving money away. In a very few weeks from the day which brought Sir John Middleton's first letter to Norland, everything was so far settled in their future abode as to enable Mrs. Dashwood and her daughters to begin their journey. Many were the tears shed by them in their last adieus to a place so much beloved. "Dear, dear Norland," said Marianne as she wandered alone before the house on the last evening of her being there. "When shall I cease to regret you? When learn to feel a home elsewhere? Oh, happy house, could you know what I suffer in now viewing you from this spot, from whence perhaps I may view you no more? And you, ye well-known trees, but you will continue the same. No leaf will decay because we are removed, nor any branch become motionless, although we can observe you no longer. No, you will continue the same, unconscious of the pleasure or the regret you occasion, and insensible of any change in those who walk under your shade, but who will remain to enjoy you." End of chapter 5. That was a quick one. It seems like they're moving out. They are no longer living with the Dashwoods. They are going to the Middletons, led by Eleanor, and Marianne's not the happiest about it, saying goodbye to the house, but seems like that's what's got to happen. Chapter 6. The first part of their journey was performed in too melancholy a disposition to be otherwise than tedious and unpleasant. But as they drew towards the end of it, their interest in the appearance of a country which they were to inhabit overcame their dejection, and a view of Barton Valley as they entered it gave them cheerfulness. It was a pleasant, fertile spot, well wooded and rich in pasture. After winding along it for more than a mile, they reached their own house. A small green court was the whole of its demesne, D-E-M-E-S-N-E, in front, and a neat wicket gate admitted them into it. As a house, Barton Cottage, though small, was comfortable and compact, but as a cottage it was defective, for the building was regular, the roof was tiled, the window shutters were not painted green, nor were the walls covered with honeysuckles. A narrow passage led directly through the house into the garden behind. On each side of the entrance was a sitting room about 16 feet square, and beyond them were the offices and the stairs. 4 bedrooms and 2 garrets formed the rest of the house. It had not been built many years and was in good repair. In comparison of Norland, it was poor and small indeed, but the tears which recollection called forth as they entered the house were soon dried away. They were cheered by the joy of the servants on their arrival, and each for the sake of the others resolved to appear happy. It was very early in September, the season was fine, and from first seeing the place under the advantage of good weather, they received an impression in its favor, which was of material service in recommending it to their lasting approbation. The situation of the house was good. High hills rose immediately behind and at no great distance on each side, some of which were open downs, the others cultivated and woody. The village of Barton was chiefly on one of these hills, and formed a pleasant view from the cottage windows. The prospect in front was more extensive. It commanded the whole of the valley and reached into the country beyond. The hills which surrounded the cottage terminated the valley in that direction under another name, and in another course it branched out again between 2 of the steepest of them. With the size and furniture of the house, Mrs. Dashwood was upon the whole well satisfied, for though her former style of life rendered many additions to the latter indispensable, yet to add and improve was a delight to her, and she had at this time ready money enough to supply all that was wanted of greater elegance to the apartments. As for the house itself, to be sure, she said, It is too small for our family, but we will make ourselves tolerably comfortable for the present, as it is too late in the year for improvements. Perhaps in the spring, if I have plenty of money, as I dare say I shall, we may think about building. These parlors are both too small for such parties of our friends as I hope to see often collected here, and I have some thoughts of throwing the passage into one of them with perhaps a part of the other, and so leave the remainder of that other for an entrance. This, with a new drawing room, which may be easily added, and a bedchamber and garret above, will make it a very snug little cottage. I could wish the stairs were handsome, but one must not expect everything, though I suppose it would be no difficult matter to widen them. I shall see how much I am beforehand with the world in the spring, and we will plan our improvements accordingly. In the meantime, till all these alterations could be made from the savings of an income 500 a year by a woman who never saved in her life, they were wise enough to be contented with the house as it was, and each of them was busy in arranging their particular concerns, and endeavoring, by placing them around their books and other possessions, to form themselves a home. Marianne's pianoforte was unpacked, and that was rough. Marianne's pianoforte was unpacked and properly disposed of, and Eleanor's drawings were affixed to the walls of their sitting room. In such employments as these, they were interrupted soon after breakfast the next day by the entrance of their landlord, who called to welcome them to Barton, and to offer them every accommodation from his own house and garden, in which theirs might at present be deficient. Sir John Middleton was a good-looking man about 40. He had formerly visited at Stanhill, but it was too long ago for his young cousins to remember him. His countenance was thoroughly good-humoured, and his manners were as friendly as the style of his letter. Their arrival seemed to afford him real satisfaction, and their comfort to be an object of real solitude to him. He said much of his earnest desire of their living in the most sociable terms with his family, and pressed them so cordially to dine at Barton Park every day till they were better settled at home, that, though his entreaties were carried to a point of perseverance beyond civility, they could not give offence. His kindness was not confined to words, for within an hour after he left them, a large basket of garden stuff and fruit arrived from the park, which was followed before the end of the day by a present of game. He insisted, moreover, on conveying all their letters to and from the post for them, and would not be denied the satisfaction of sending them his newspaper every day. Lady Middleton had sent a very civil message by him, denoting her intention of waiting on Mrs. Dashwood as soon as she could be assured that her visit would be no inconvenience, and at this message was answered by an invitation equally polite. Her ladyship was introduced to them the next day. They were of course very anxious to see a person on whom so much of their comfort at Barton must depend, and the elegance of her appearance was favourable to their wishes. Lady Middleton was not more than 6 or 7 and 20. Her face was handsome, her figure tall and striking, and her address grateful. Her manners had all the elegance with which her husband wanted, but they would have been improved by some share of his frankness and warmth, and her visit was long enough to detract something from their first admiration by showing that though perfectly well bred, she was reserved, cold, and had nothing to say for herself beyond the most commonplace inquiry or remark. Conversation, however, was not wanted, for Sir John was very chatty, and Lady Middleton had taken the wise precaution of bringing with her their eldest child, a fine little boy about 6 years old, by which means there was one subject always to be recurred to by the ladies in case of extremity, for they had to inquire his name and age, admire his beauty, and ask him questions which his mother answered for him while he hung about her and held down his head, to the great surprise of her ladyship, who wondered at his being so shy before company, as he could make noise enough at home. On every formal visit a child ought to be of the party, by way of provision for discourse. In the present case, it took up 10 minutes to determine whether the boy were most like his father or mother, and in what particular he resembled either, for of course everybody differed, and everybody was astonished at the opinion of the others. An opportunity was soon to be given to the Dashwoods of debating on the rest of the children, as Sir John would not leave the house without securing their promise of dining at the park the next day. End of chapter 6. Oof. Okay, so the family is moving in. They are trying to get along well with the Middletons. It seems like there's awkwardness with Lady Middleton, but apparently she has a son, so the Middleton boy, who's 6. I love the dialogue, or it's not even dialogue, but I love the description here. That's like, every party should have like a child at it to talk about and distract from the awkwardness, you know, because there's so much material there to ask him about. I also really like the line where she like talks for so long about all the renovations they should make, and then the author, Jane Austen, is like, she hasn't saved money like a day in her life, you know. In the meantime, till these alterations could be made from the savings of an income of $500 a year by a woman who never saved in her life, they were wise enough to be content with the house as it was. I think that's hilarious. Super Gaming Tech, it's good to hear that the mother is at least not being fooled by her son being unwilling to provide money for them. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I think with the son having the wife in the picture, I don't think they're gonna be able to get any of that money. How many chapters are there? Well, the chapters are short, is what I'll say. First of all, there's an afterword, and then this last chapter is chapter 50. So there's 50 chapters, if that's a good point. But the chapters, some of them are like only a few pages, so very interesting way to structure it. Let's continue. Chapter 7. Barton Park was about half a mile from the cottage. The ladies had passed near it in their way along the valley, but it was screened from their view at home by the projection of the hill. The house was large and handsome, and the Middletons lived in a style of equal hospitality and elegance. The former was for Sir John's gratification, the latter for that of his lady. They were scarcely ever without some friends staying with them in the house, and they kept more company of every kind than any other family in the neighborhood. It was necessary to the happiness of both, for however dissimilar in temper and outward behavior, they strongly resembled each other in that total want of talent and taste which confined their employments, unconnected with such as society produced, within a very narrow compass. Sir John was a sportsman, Lady Middleton a mother. He hunted and shot, and she humored her children, and these were their only resources. Lady Middleton had the advantage of being able to spoil her children all the year round, while Sir John's independent employments were in existence only half the time. Continual engagements at home and abroad, however, supplied all the deficiencies of nature and education, supported the good spirits of Sir John, and gave exercise to the good breeding of his wife. Pause. Lady Middleton piqued herself upon the elegance of her table and of all her domestic arrangements, and from this kind of vanity was her greatest enjoyment in any of their parties. But Sir John's satisfaction in society was much more real. He delighted in collecting about him more young people than his house would hold, and the noisier they were, the better was he pleased. He was a blessing to all the juvenile parts of the neighborhood, for in summer he was forever forming parties to eat cold ham and chicken out of doors. And in winter his private halls were numerous enough for any young lady who was not suffering under the insatiable appetite of 15. That's so funny. A young lady who was not suffering under the insatiable appetite of being 15. The arrival of a new family in the country was always a matter of joy to him, and in every point of view he was charmed with the inhabitants he had now procured for his cottage at Barton. The Miss Dashwoods were young, pretty, and unaffected. It was enough to secure his good opinion, for to be unaffected was all that a pretty girl could want to make her mind as captivating as her person. The friendliness of his disposition made him happy in accommodating those whose situation might be considered in comparison with the past as unfortunate. In showing kindness to his cousins, therefore, he had the real satisfaction of a good heart, and in settling a family of females only in its cottage, he had all the satisfaction of a sportsman. For a sportsman, though he esteems only those of his sex who are sportsmen alike, likewise, is not often desirous or desirous of encouraging their taste by admitting them to a residence within his own manor. Translation: he likes to hang out with the boys, but he's not going to let them live in a cottage that he owns. Mrs. Dashwood and her daughters were met at the door of the house by Sir John, who welcomed them to Barton Park with unaffected sincerity, and as he attended them to the drawing-room repeated to the young ladies the concern which the same subject had drawn from him the day before, at being unable to get any smart young men to meet them. They would see, he said, only one gentleman there besides himself, a particular friend who was staying at the park, but who was neither very young nor very gay. He hoped they would all excuse the smallness of the party, and could assure them it should never happen so again. He had been to several families that morning in hopes of procuring some addition to their number, but it was moonlight and everyone was full of engagements. Luckily, Lady Middleton's mother had arrived at Barton within the last hour, and as she was a very cheerful, agreeable woman, he hoped the young ladies would not find it as so very dull as they might imagine. The young ladies, as well as their mother, were perfectly satisfied with having two entire strangers of the party, and wished for no more. Mrs. Jennings, Lady Middleton's mother, was a good-humoured, merry, fat, elderly woman who talked a great deal, seemed very happy, and rather vulgar. She was full of jokes and laughter, and before dinner was over she had said many witty things on the subject of lovers and husbands, hoped that they had not left their hearts behind them in Sussex, and pretended to see them blush whether they did or not. Marianne was vexed at it for her sister's sake, and turned her eyes towards Eleanor to see how she bore these attacks, with an earnestness which gave Eleanor far more pain than could arise from such commonplace raillery as Mrs. Jennings's. Colonel Brandon, the friend of Sir John, seemed no more adapted by a resemblance of manner to be his friend than Lady Middleton that was to be his wife, or Mrs. Jennings to be Lady Middleton's mother. He was silent and grave. His appearance, however, was not unpleasing, in spite of his being, in the opinion of Marianne and Margaret, an absolute old bachelor, for he was on the wrong side of 50 and 30. What do they mean by that? Oh, he was on the wrong side of 5 and 30. Interesting. But though his face was not handsome, his countenance was sensible, and his address was particularly gentlemanlike. There was nothing in any of the party which could recommend them as companions to the Dashwoods, but the cold insipidity of Lady Middleton was so particularly repulsive that in comparison of it, the gravity of Colonel Brandon and even the boisterous mirth of Sir John and his mother-in-law was interesting. Lady Middleton seemed to be roused to enjoyment only by the entrance of her four noisy children after dinner. She has 4 kids, who pulled her about, tore her clothes, and put an end to every kind of discourse except what related to themselves. In the evening, as Marianne was discovered to be musical, she was invited to play. The instrument was unlocked. Everybody prepared to be charmed, and Marianne, who sang very well, at their request went through the chief of the songs which Lady Middleton had brought into the family on her marriage, and which perhaps had lain ever since in the same position on the pianoforte, for her ladyship had celebrated that event by giving up music, although by her mother's account she had played extremely well, and by her own was very fond of it. Marianne's performance was highly applauded. Sir John was loud in his admiration at the end of every song, and as loud in his conversation with the others while every song lasted. Lady Middleton frequently called him to order, wondered how anyone's attention could be diverted from music for a moment, and asked Marianne to sing a particular song, which Marianne had just finished. Colonel Brandon alone, of all the party, heard her without being in raptures. He paid her only the compliment of attention, and she felt a respect for him on the occasion, which the others had reasonably forfeited by their shameless want of taste. His pleasure in music, though it amounted not to that ecstatic delight which alone could sympathize with her own, was estimable when contrasted against the horrible insensibility of the others, and she was reasonable enough to allow that a man of 35 might well have outlived all the acuteness of feeling and every exquisite power of enjoyment. She was perfectly disposed to make every allowance for the colonel's advanced state of life, which humanity required. End of chapter 7. Oh, okay. Interesting. Haha. So, we have a little party here at the Middletons, right? And not many people show up because when he was trying to, reach out, it was too late. People already had engagement. So only like 2 other people show up at the party. I really love Jane's kind of how she personalizes characters and like makes them real because they feel like they're real people. Like her description of Mrs. Jennings as a merry, fat, elderly woman who's full of jokes and laughter, had said many things about lovers and husbands, and pretended to see them blush whether they did or not. Like, that description, like, I can see that woman and, like, know so much about her character. I think that's really awesome. But at the end here, it seems that even though they're calling him, like, maybe he's a bit older of a guy, this Colonel Brandon seems to be the only one that actually appeals to Marianne, because he was the only one that, didn't pay her with loud compliments. He didn't pay her with like loud stuff. He just paid her with his attention and just by listening and sitting and listening to her play. And it seems like she's starting to think like, I can get over the age gap. I can get over it. Seems like he might be the one for me, because she's the one who was like, I want him to like the stuff I like, and I want him to be passionate about this stuff. I know I'm late, but Dad suggested that maybe all the main characters... Oh, this is back on Soul Reader. Let me wrap up my thought. Yes. So the plot thickens. I'm getting more used to the dialogue, to the tone of it. I don't know if I'm getting more used to the British accent, but that is neither here nor there. Yeah, great. Made it through 7 chapters so far. I'm starting to get into it. I want to see what's going on here. Let me address this comment, and then I'll let you guys get out of here. Lacey, you said, I know I'm late, but Dad suggested that maybe all the characters other than the main character are in on it and manipulating Sam throughout the series. All of them? Like every character? Like his sister, his son, his minister? They could be manipulating him. The only trick or issue with that is if the idea of him is that he's super intelligent and he can if he's super intelligent or he has this soul reading thing, then like how many people can actually like pull a fast one on him, I think it's a bit much more people knowing stuff. Yeah, like the sister and mom minister. I mean, maybe. Yeah, that's my only thing, is if he has this power, like, it makes sense if it's like maybe his parents, because he struggles to read them. But if it's like everyone, then his power might not. You think the sister at least? Maybe. I definitely can see the mom doing that. That's a good thought though, is like asking ourselves the question, who knows what? Especially in like forming a mystery, it's like, who actually knows what's going on here, and how do we show that throughout? But yeah, successful stream, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see when I can come back. I might stream, a short stream on Thursday. But I know that I'm also planning on filming the next episode of Christians in Cinema on Thursday. And then this weekend is our last big track meet. We're going to be there all weekend. So you know, after track season ends, we'll be back on track with the consistent streams. We'll catch back up, get to Epic. I want to rank Severance episodes. I also want to read that first episode of Severance that's on this website, Script Slugs. Yeah, I want to read through the script and see what they actually changed from the original pilot, because they have the pilot script here to read, and I want to look through it. But anyways, good stuff. Think the mom minister both old enough. Yeah, how to trick him. After track will be back on track. After track will be back on track. Yes, and we need to get back to Epic. Absolutely, we need to finish what we started, and we will do that in due time. But until then, my beautiful storytellers, thanks for joining along. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see you next time. Go watch something that inspires you. Go read something that inspires you. Write something to inspire others. Go get inspired. Have a great night. God bless. Goodbye.